Hi, Dan. I think you're the only one in the stream at the moment. We've got 9 in now. How you doing? Just wait till we get a few more in. God, it's hot today. Oh, heavy night last night. Too much alcohol. I said I was going to give it up for New Year, but I never. Hey, Franco, how you doing? 6 o'clock in the morning in the UK. Good to see you in. What time do you get? You shit the bed or something? What time do you get up? A few people coming in now. Good. Let me just do one thing before I forget. No, we'll leave that till later. Right, getting a few in now. Let's start to say hi to everyone. Good. I suppose my biggest audience today will be in America because there's a 12-hour time difference. So it's going to be about 1 o'clock in the afternoon there. It's now 1 o'clock here in Bangkok. Another unplanned, unscheduled stream. Nothing planned. So just talk about whatever you want to talk about. Nearly 50 in now. So good stuff. Who we got in? Let's have a look. Dan the man, the first man in. Franco, of course. Mike Benj, hi. Who's that? Look, how do I pronounce that? Rock as a burro, is it? How you doing? Chris, good morning. I'll tell you if you're a member or not. You said not sure if you're a member. No, because if you're a member, you'll go green on my side and you're still black. So you're not a member yet. Donald Trump, howdy. How you doing? Perbert, the man himself. How you doing? Lots of text between us. God, I'm so tired today. Cheers. I don't know if you can notice, but this is a really big cup of coffee. I've got a few stories for you later on. I've made a lot of notes, so but I'll wait till I get a few more people in the stream because you like the stories. Right, Jimmy Ark Theater, is it? Hi from Sydney, Australia. What time is it in Sydney now? I'd love to know what time is it in Australia because when I do my regular streams, a lot of guys say to me, "Oh, I can't watch you. I had to watch you on the rerun because of time difference. It's late at night here or it's early morning." Mark, it's 1 a.m. Miami, Florida. Okay. But the US is a big country, isn't it? There's about a 3-hour time difference from East Coast to West Coast. It must be early. I'd love to know where in the world is it early evening now, like between, say, 7 o'clock and 11 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night. Matthew, how you doing? Morning, Peter. Morning, Mongers. Yeah. Johnny Rockbury, how you doing? Anders Bergman, how you doing? Prince Fergus wrote an unexpected live. Good morning. I think you meant to say, "Whoa." Yeah, I mean, it's just I'm starting to do these on a Sunday, on alternative Sundays now, because I had people write to me. Do you know I cut the live streams down from every week to every other week because they were just getting boring. Really, it's the same old, same old. No, I don't mean boring for me. I mean it's got to be boring for people watching because at the end of the day, I was basically talking about the same stuff week after week. So I cut it down to every other week, and I started putting out more videos. And I just think it's better. But these sort of I'm not going to do them every Sunday, but just now and again. I got up at about 10 o'clock this morning, cleaned the apartment, did a few jobs. And so, yeah, I thought I'd do a quick one. Well, not that quick. I'm going over to my friend Simon's for a roast later on today. And it's unbelievable how many people wrote to me and serious complaining, saying, "Oh, you wore a vest. How could you go in front of the public wearing a vest?" And I'm like, it's just a vest, it's not, it didn't have any statement on it or anything. It wasn't like I want to change the world or, it was just a vest, but people seem to get upset. So for those few people, I put a t-shirt on. I'll probably get a few people now saying, "Why didn't you wear a collar?" Fitzy, how you doing? I know you're in Australia. Jimmy Arctida, is it? Arctida. I'll be mongering soon, you filthy swine, you. Right, Radarin, how you doing? I'll put that up there because a lot of names here I can't pronounce today. I can pronounce this one though. Tommy Keeley, good morning from Ireland. Morning, very early, 6 o'clock in the morning there. Hope you don't have to work today. What week? Sunday today. Yeah, you might be a driver or something. Pete Bailey, hi. Mike Benj, it's midnight in Chicago, dude. Okay, so I've got my numbers wrong. Because I do talk to people in America occasionally, and they're like, I do these consultancies, sound like a doctor, but, like some people are coming for the first time. They want a few tips and they want to speak to somebody who's living here. And I do a one-on-one. And a lot of the Americans say, "Oh, well, I can't, I'll do like 10 p.m. Thai time because that's my 10 a.m. here. So I don't know where they are. Brendan from New Zealand. It's 7 p.m. here in New Zealand. Ah, good. So I know if I do a live stream at this time of the day, I keep looking down there because I keep hearing funny noises from the car park. I'm just seeing what's going on. Right, I know if I do a stream at this time, it's 7 p.m. in New Zealand. I had a complaint from a guy in New Zealand once. He said he wasn't happy that I didn't put the currencies up when I do the normal streams. I do them in from New Zealand now. What, the Thai baht to the New Zealand dollar? Is it a dollar? 1 a.m. here, was getting ready to sleep, says Prince Fergus. Well, don't let me stop your beauty sleep. You know, I mean, don't be tired tomorrow because of me. The Burton channel, Thailand Band. Good to have an opportunity to be on your live stream first time. Okay, good. That's an interesting name there. The Burton channel. I presume you've got a YouTube channel. The Wutong Life America. It's 10 p.m. West Coast and 1 a.m. East Coast. Okay, so that's good. So hopefully there'll be a few people on the West Coast will join us a little bit later on. Toby Price, hello, Peter. Have you noticed the temperature going up? Yeah, absolutely, Toby. It's really strange because I had this conversation with somebody yesterday that I met for lunch. And this time of the year, it's supposed to be really cool. You know, that's why it's high season. That's why people come out here now. They start, look, Sunday morning, typical Thai. They could do it on a Tuesday afternoon or a Wednesday, but Sunday morning, well, it's not morning, is it? But Sunday, they decide to get the drills out. Typical. Yeah, I've noticed it. It's quite hot at the moment. And I'm going. Tell me if this disturbs you, because if it does, I'll shut the windows and put the aircon on. It's not too bad. Hopefully, they won't go on long. Yeah, it's just quite hot at the moment. Last year it was really cool, really nice. Okay, Dan the Man says Australia is plus 4 hours. Okay, so right now it's going to be 2, 3, 4. Yeah, just gone 5 o'clock in the evening. Says same as Fitzy, 5 p.m. Melbourne. Okay. Stuart Marston, morning, Peter. Vietnam Viking, it's 2 p.m. here in Perth, Australia. Okay. So it doesn't matter what time of the day you do a stream. It's always going to be the wrong time for somebody, and it's going to be the right time for somebody else, isn't it? Peter, how are you doing? Nice to see you in the stream. I'm hungover, really am. I didn't go out last night either. I went for a swim. Saturdays is a very busy day for me with YouTube because that's the day I create the stories. Not create them, but edit them and record them for next week. I always do them a week in advance. So they take about 6 hours. So I get up, take the emails, I edit the story, and then I record it. Then I've got to play it back and edit the recording because when you listen to the stories, it's like I read it flawlessly, right? But I don't in real life. I make a lot of mistakes and I have to cut all those mistakes out. So it's a long day. And I relaxed last night with my old friend, Johnny Walker. And I'm hungover. Jim Hayes. 10:03 Las Vegas, Nevada. Yeah, I must do another trip to Las Vegas. Loved it there. Yeah, Matthew, it's 6 o'clock in the UK. I know that because I was hoping Franco would get in the stream, which he is. Michael DiCaprio, 6'6", Swansea. Yeah. Rob, you're coming out soon. Who was I talking to? Who said one of the viewers? It was Anton. I don't think it's his real name. That's his name on YouTube. But he's coming to Bangkok. He's a viewer here, subscriber. And he did mention, he said, look, Rob's coming to Thailand soon, and he was hoping to meet you. And I said, well, maybe I'll go down to Pattaya and hopefully meet up with you. So let me know. Have you got my email address, haven't you? Look, let me just show you. There it is there. Just drop me a quick line. Let me know when you're in, where you're staying, what you're doing. Bank credentials. Okay, you can rewind that. Right. I hope that doesn't go on too long. Thomas, you're up. Hi, Peter. Nice to see you stream. Hope you had a good night last night. Thomas is newly dating. Let's put it that way. A very nice professional Thai lady. When I say professional, I don't mean professional as in she works in Cowboy. I mean, she's got a good job. We'll have to meet up this week, Tom. Is there a whiskey in that coffee? No, never drink in the daytime. I know you're only joking, but it's a strict rule with me. Never touch it. Never have done. Never will do. That's the thing that stops me being a total alcoholic. Right, Phil 77, 5 p.m. Melbourne, Australia. The Burton channel, Thailand Band. Haha, Peter, you know me be better as Winston, and I've rubbed you up the wrong way at times. Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, well, obviously I haven't rubbed you up too much because you're still here. Right, the Wutong Life tips for first timers: don't fall in love, don't give all your money to Dubai. I've got a video coming out for everybody on Wednesday. I've already released it to members. It's called "Is Your Thai Girlfriend a Player or is she a keeper?" And I've put in there 20 really good tips. Like if you've met a girl in a mall, but you're still not sure, there's 20 really good tips in that video, what to look out for. Matthew Allen, hello Peter, hope you're doing well. I am Matthew, nearly 100 in now. Scott Green, hi, first time on your channel from New Zealand. Would 20 million, hi, first time on your channel from New Zealand. Would 20 million baht and pension last me at least 10 years living in Jumpton? 20 million, 10 years, I should say so. I mean, yeah, God almighty, yeah, that's a really good budget. Yeah, they're out in force. Jimmy says, how's the fashion police? They're out in force. As I just mentioned a few minutes ago, I got told off by multiple people for wearing a vest last week. So I've put on a very grand T-shirt today. I think I slept in this one the other night. I'm not sure. I can't remember. Right, Pete Bailey, it's 5 p.m. Aussie, 40 centigrade outside, and I'm in the AC, relaxed on a Sunday. I could put the aircon on and I could close the windows, but I purposely put the camera, normally I'm sitting here with a backdrop, right? But I've purposely pointed the camera over there, so if you're in a cold climate, you can see it's wonderful here. It's not really hot, because the thing is with me, I live, my apartment is next to a building, and the downside of that is I haven't got a view, but the upside of it is it doesn't get really hot in here. I wonder what a building next door. That's typical Thai, that is. You know, if that was in the UK, they'd do that on a weekday, you know, after 9 p.m. and before 5 p.m. But here, Sunday, no problem. Hi, Randy. How you doing? Good evening, Mr. P.A. Comanche. Anders, done. Right. Okay, we're over 100 in now. So let me just stick that. Rain in Blood. What's your opinion of Phuket? Do you know what? It's really weird because I haven't been to Phuket for about 20 years. And I'm sure it's totally changed now. But my girls are coming out. My daughters are coming out here again in November. They came out last November, and they actually said to me, "Look, Dad, we got a bit bored in Bangkok." I'm like, "What? Bored? I took you to Koh Samet. I took you to Hua Hin. I took you to an animal sanctuary. You went on the river on a cruise. I mean, Christ, what does it take for people not to be bored?" But what they said this year, they want to go to the islands, do some island hopping. And the most beautiful islands, they're kind of closer to, they're down south, aren't they? So what they've said is they've suggested flying into Phuket rather than Bangkok, and I'll meet them down there. But what do I think of Phuket? I can only go on memory what it was like 20 years ago. And I remember it was expensive. The only reason I don't go down there too often these days, I'm going to close the window. If this goes on more than 5 minutes, I'm going to close the windows, put the aircon on. It's kind of irritating. The only thing I remember about Phuket, it was expensive. And the reason I don't go down there now is it's just the logistics of getting down there. It's an 18-hour drive, and or it's about 3,000 baht flight down there, return. And it's not like there's nobody in Thailand doing videos about Phuket, is it? Okay, so, right, let's pick a few stories to read out. Oh, I'll tell you what I seen the other day, and it really sort of kind of embarrassed me. I don't know why, because I didn't know the guy, but I was walking, it was about 7 o'clock at night, 8 o'clock at night. I was walking down Sukhumvit around where Soi 12 is, and there's a bridge somewhere down there. I can't remember exactly. I can't explain where it is, but if you know this area, walking down from Nana BTS station down towards Terminal 21, but not on that side, on this side, past Soi 10, Soi 12, and then there's a bridge. And I went over that bridge because I wanted to head over to Terminal 21. And there was a white guy there sitting cross-legged on the bridge with a begging bowl in front of him. And I just looked at him and I thought, how does somebody get to the stage where they come? He's obviously come to Thailand. I don't know, maybe he came here as a teacher and lost his job, or maybe he came here for a holiday and got into some substances. I don't know. But I kind of looked at him and I thought, how do you end up? I mean, I would be so embarrassed to be begging from Thai people, I'm sure a few foreigners kind of threw a few baht his way, but I remember thinking at the time, for me, I've always got a get out of jail clause. I've always got a plan of action. So if it all goes wrong, and, in his situation, I would have thought he'd put £500 or $600 away as an exit strategy to be able to buy an air ticket. But instead, he's sitting on this bridge begging other foreigners. And it was kind of embarrassing. Like I say, I don't, you see the Thais looking and they look confused because a lot of them think that, we've got lots and lots of money, which all of us haven't. But, there's this guy begging on the bridge. Thai people are going by looking at him. And a few Thais did chuck in a couple of baht, but they wouldn't have chucked in a lot. I'm exaggerating. I've seen one Thai guy throw a few baht in his cup, in his pot. And so I'm just assuming other people did. Very bad. Okay. Right. Let's talk about the stories a little bit because I've had I've changed the format on the stories now. I've got the videos in the background. People ask me about the camera I use. Let me just show you. So this is great. I think I showed you it before. So when you're doing what somebody told me they're called B-rolls, So when I'm telling this story, I used to just sit there with a waterfall in the background or a beach scene or something. And what I'm doing now, I'm putting videos in the background. So if somebody's watching me, it's not like really boring just watching me as like this. But this is a camera, which is great. So it's it's getting dated now. It's an Osmo 2. Let me just turn it on. So you can see compared to my hand how big it is. This is what they use on the drones as well because they're very light. So I can walk through a shopping mall. What have I done? Let me just get out of it. Yeah, I mean, I can walk through a shopping mall with that or down a street and it's very low key. You just walk along with it like that. It's a shame it hasn't got some kind of a thing on the back to clip it onto a belt or something, like that would be perfect then. Maybe I can find something, but yeah, that's what I'm using at the moment. And yeah, a lot of people have said they do like the the background, as it were, the background videos. So yeah, Osmo 2. They're about £300, $350, but like I say, they got the Osmo 3 out now. Yeah. Somebody told me. Sometimes people ask me what's my favorite story. Oh, I had another guy write to me yesterday, and he said, "Oh, all these stories are made up, but I guess it's just for entertainment purposes, so it doesn't matter." And I'm thinking, God, I'd have to be Einstein to make them up. I've got probably 600-700 stories on the channel now, and there's guys saying I'm making them all up. Matthew, Beijing, China again. The summer for me. No Thailand unless I split up with the missus. Then I will be there. I watch a lot of videos from a guy. I forget the name of his stream. Let me just see if I can put him up. Great channel. It's a guy he was a teacher in China for years. That's him. He's called. Let me put his name up. Like he doesn't even know I'm advertising him. Just try and copy his name so you can watch. Well, he's called Serpentaza. Serpentza. Serpentaza. A strange name, but he lived in China and he knows that China inside out, all the scams, how it all works. And I watched some of his videos. They're really, really good. Check him out if you can. I've got no affiliation with him or anything, but he knows his stuff. And he speaks fluent Chinese, so he can listen in on what's actually happening. Scott Green, thank you for your advice. Do you get bored living in Thailand? Oh, no, absolutely not. How can you get bored living here? You live a different lifestyle when you live here. I mean, people come here. I've had a lot of people lately saying, hey, I've just arrived in Thailand. Let's meet up. And the problem is I can't meet everybody because I'm not sitting here in my apartment watching Netflix just waiting for people to invite me for lunch. I mean, I've got a life here and I do meet a lot of people. But as far as getting bored, no, not at all. I mean, it's just a great place to live. I mean, even if I don't do anything, I do a lot more than I do in the UK. I mean, I've got a swimming pool on the roof. Imagine in England having a swimming pool on the roof. It'd probably be frozen over now. No, it's not boring at all. Like I'm doing this stream. I've got up. I've cleaned my apartment. I've had a bit of breakfast. I'm doing this stream now. I'm going to go over to my friend Simon's on the scooter. It's about half an hour away over the Taksim Bridge. Great, and it's in a place called Bangwa. I'll have a Sunday roast over at his. I'll come back here 7-8 o'clock tonight. Just do a few bits and bobs, check my emails and things, watch a bit of TV, and the day's gone so quickly. I'm going to be doing a video with Marley this Wednesday. I won't tell you what the subject is because I don't want anybody else to do it before me. I haven't seen any videos on YouTube about it. But people often ask me, where's Marley? I haven't seen her for a while. But she's really busy, It's not me avoiding her. She's just busy. Yeah, absolutely. Prince Fergus, minus 10 degrees Fahrenheit in Ohio right now. Wow, that is cold. I think in the UK, somebody sent me a picture, -5. That's really cold. Uncle Nene, hello, Peter, from the land of cowboy and Indians. Where's that then? The land of cowboy and Indians. Is that America, right? Jerry Time, good to see you live, Peter. Thank you, Jerry Time. And I'll put it up because I can't pronounce the name. 56 here in California, and it's cold as heck, Prince Fergus. Okay. Toby Price, Phuket will hit your wallet. Anywhere in Thailand will hit your wallet now if you're using the entertainment places to go to. You know, if you go to the bars and stuff. Yeah, so let me just tell you something funny. So I was talking about the stories there. You know, I'm still doing these stories after nearly 5 years. I've had to repeat one or two of them, but I do get new stories in all the time. And I was trying to think, like I was talking to somebody in a bar the other day. We were talking about these stories, and you know, some of them I've had to reject. Some of them have been just outright not interested. I couldn't use them. And the guy was asking me, said, "What's the most outlandish thing that you've ever heard about happening with the bar girls here?" And I racked my brains and I thought, do you know what? I can't really talk about this on YouTube, but I'll mention it here. And this is a true story, okay? It's about a guy who came out here and he had a really unusual fetish, okay? And why am I looking there? It's not like there's somebody over there listening to me, like, shh. And he, you know, I knew of this guy, and I've got the reason I'm not coming out with it straight away is because I'm trying to think of the right words so I don't get the video taken down later. He had this really strange fetish. So, you know, all the stories I've written out about guys who meet girls in bars and they take them out of the bars and they send them sponsorship money, and then the girl's still working and all that, and they get really jealous and hacked off, and quite rightly so, you know, and it ends. That's 99.9% of them kind of stories, right? Well, this guy had an unusual fetish. He actually was quite a decent looking guy. He was about close to 48, I'd say 47, 48. Wasn't overweight, worked out, wasn't Mr. Muscles, but he didn't have a pot belly, and he was quite a decent looking guy. And he could have got a real nice girl here in Bangkok a number of times over, you know, decent working girl who worked in a bank, something like that. Spoke a little bit of Thai as well, he did. And but he had this strange fetish, and what he did, you don't know what the fetish is now, aren't you? What he did, he dated a go-go dancer from one of the most notorious go-go bars in Nana Plaza. And what he enjoyed was he dated her like a real girlfriend, and she stayed with him every night, and they were boyfriend, girlfriend, absolutely, for a number of months. And what he really enjoyed was her going off with other guys. It's really strange. You know, there's no saying it takes all sorts. And he'd encourage his friends, you know, I mean, if they, I know it's unbelievable, it might sound unbelievable, but I swear to God, this is true. So what would happen? He actually got a kick out of this girl going off. You know, he'd be in her go-go bar, see her get bar fined, go off with some guy, and then she'd come back and jump back on stage. And he actually got a kick out of that. You know, he really, I don't know what it was. You can't explain it. And he'd encourage his friends. So unfortunately, I never got to go around his apartment, but, you know, he'd be in his apartment, a friend would turn up, and he'd encourage the guy to say, look, you know, bedroom's free over there, you know, and she'd be all up for it, young girl, you know, and really, really strange. And, you know, you kind of sort of wonder about some people that I don't know what happened to them in the end, but that's why he dated a girl from a go-go bar, because he actually actively encouraged her to go with other guys, and it turned him on, you know. I mean, strange, isn't it? I mean, I at the very least, you'd be worried from catching something, wouldn't you, from your girlfriend if that was the case. Murray Dean, good day, Peter. Have a great stream. Love the content. Happy days from Queensland. Thanks, Murray. Rain in Blood 123. There's probably are affordable options in Phuket as well. Oh yeah, absolutely. When I was there the last time, I stayed in a hotel called the CNN Hotel. The reason I remember it is because I thought at the time, oh, CNN, the broadcasting network in America. So that stuck in my mind, and it was a budget hotel, but it was okay. The Wutong Live. Once his visa is up, police will pick him up for deportation, free airfare back home. Yeah, but I think he was probably, you're talking about the guy on the bridge. He was probably trying to avoid that because, you know, the thing is, before you get deported, they don't just march you straight to the airport and put you on a luxury flight, do they? First class. What they do is they detain you in immigration detention center, which isn't a nice place, apparently. And, you know, you could be there for weeks, if not months, before you're actually sent out of the country. So he was probably trying to avoid that. He probably knew, he probably had outstayed his visa, and he probably knew that, okay, once I go through the airport, I'm going to get blacklisted. But he had his ticket to get on a plane. They wouldn't have stopped him. So I think that was probably his plan. Yeah, Randy, you say, I really like the B-roll format. Yeah, a lot of people do. The thing is, I've made more work for myself now, because what I've got to do is, as well as editing and telling the stories on a weekend, I've now got to go out and get footage. But the good thing is, it's like the one that's coming out next week. The last one was about an hour and a half long, so I can split it up to 3 weeks. But it's a good format, yeah. David says, I see Westerners begging in Saigon pretty often. They can be arrested if caught. It's ridiculous, isn't it? I mean, how do you end up in Saigon, of all places? A Westerner, right? Okay, not another Asian. How do you end up in Saigon and you end up begging on the street? I mean, the disgrace of it, okay, there might be the odd person who, through no fault of his own, he got robbed and he can't get back home. He hasn't got an air ticket and stuff. But, for most people, it's absolutely disgusting. How can you get yourself into that position? 158 in now. If you've just joined us, welcome to my unadvertised Sunday live stream. Nick Reels, I enjoy the stories, but when will channels start doing stories about Thai women that get scammed by foreigners? I can tell you a story right now about a scam that went on with some Thai girls, and it's again another true story. But what you got to remember, Nick, is I only read out stories. Okay, I'm not, as the guy said yesterday, I made them all up. I don't. There's guys actually responded to that guy. When the guy left the comment, if you look at the stories, I think the last stories, if you look at the comments there, somebody said, somebody wrote a comment, I can't remember what it was, maybe about the B format. And underneath that, the guy says, well, they're all made up stories, but for the entertainment purpose, it doesn't really matter. And I wrote back and said, I can assure you, I've got emails for each one of these stories. I don't know why I have to defend myself, but I had several comments from viewers saying to the guy in response to his comment, they were saying, well, I know he doesn't make these stories up because he read my story out 2 weeks ago. And I had 2 or 3 of them. So that was quite nice. But, the thing is, Nick, what you got to remember is I can only read out what's sent to me. Sometimes people will write to me and they'll say, oh, the stories were really boring this week. Why can't you tell them like you used to? And I'm like, dude, I don't make them up. The guy writes them and sends them in. I can only read what's sent in. And as long as they're not too graphic, I'll read out everything. I don't judge them. I don't sit in front of them and think, is this one good enough? It's very rarely I won't read out a story. But the thing is, Thai women do get scammed. They do. I mean, not bar girls so much, but I'll tell you a story about a girl who got, several girls, but I'll focus in on this one. Now, this is a girl, she was, and this was last year, actually. So this is a girl who was, where was it? Udon Thani, I think it was, or Udon Ratchathani. Okay. So she wasn't a particular pretty girl. She wasn't ugly, but she wasn't particularly pretty. She put it this way. She didn't have guys chasing her down the street, where she lived. And she was a bit lonely and she wanted to meet somebody. And she was I guess she was kind of like 30 by now. And so she went on online dating like a lot of people do. And basically what happened, she met a guy, or I don't know who was behind the laptop or whoever wrote to her behind the phone, but he appeared to be a fairly decent looking guy. They got talking for a long time and he was going to come up to her village and, it's not a village, is it? Udon Thani, it's a big town now. So the plan was after several months of communicating back and forth, he was going to come up there and he was going to open a business, and she'd found this shop house or whatever it was, and they were going to turn it into a restaurant, come cafe, come bar, come whatever. And it was all planned out, even right down to the finances. And she'd never met this guy, right? And he said, look, I'm coming out next Thursday. I'm going to be bringing cash with me. I got a briefcase with me, and I'm going to bring this cash. And then they got talking on the phone, so she got to hear the guy's voice and everything. And the plan was, I can't remember the exact amount, but it was something, let's just say it was 1 million baht, okay? So I don't know if it was 1 million baht. I'm just saying for the sake of the story. So what happened was, he said, look, I'm coming out next Thursday. I've got 1 million baht in cash on me. And what I'll do, I'm flying out. I'm going to arrive into Bangkok at this time. I'm going to catch an internal flight up to your town at this time. And I'll meet you at the airport. She'll meet him at the airport. Now, something I've left out of the story, this same guy was communicating with about 3 or 4 other girls. And the story going with this girl was actually going with 3 or 4 other girls at the same time. So it wasn't just her. So he'd been talking to, let's just say 3 girls, okay? 3 girls with the same story, with the same plans, with the same script, everything. And these 3 girls were all hooked and they'd all believed it and they all thought this guy was coming. Anyway, so he said, right, I'm flying in next Thursday with 1 million baht cash. And she said, yeah, I'll pick you up at the airport. You can stay at mine. Parents, no problem. And we'll go and have a look at this property, blah, 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 blah. So it's all going well. Everything was on course. This was probably, he was flying in on a Thursday. So this was probably on the Friday week before that they'd had this conversation. She was all excited. Now, the problem is no, I'll get to that bit later. So he was it's a week before he was flying in. Okay, so he's flying in with $1 million baht cash, and she's can't wait for him to get here. So on the Thursday morning, or whenever he was supposed to land at Bangkok, 20 minutes, half an hour after he landed at Bangkok, supposedly, he got a phone call from somebody with a different voice. And this person said, look, I'm calling, this is immigration in Bangkok. We've just stopped this man. Say his name's John. I don't know what his name was. We've just stopped this man, John, and he's told us he's coming to meet you. He's not been here before. Now, the problem is he's carrying $1 million baht in cash. Now, we can't let this money in. He has to pay tax on it at 7%, whatever it is. He's got to, I don't know what the numbers are, right? But you're bringing in $1 million, just say it's, I don't know, 70,000 baht, okay? And then they went on to say to this girl, but he said he hasn't got 70,000 baht. This is every penny in the world he's got. And he has said he's coming up to you. So unless you know how he can come up with his 70,000 baht, now that's a lot of money for Thai people, okay? Most Thai people, a lot of rich people here, but a lot of average families, 70,000 is a lot of money, okay? So she's thinking, there's this guy, he's ready to do this business with me. I'm already in love with him, even though I haven't met him. He's in the airport. He's got $1 million baht in cash in his briefcase. And all our plans are going to go to ruin because he can't put his hand on 70,000 and he didn't know about the tax. They're going to put him back on a flight and he's going home, and that's the end of it, unless he can come up with his 70,000. So the immigration, supposedly immigration, the other person who's speaking said, look, the only sort of way out of this is if you can find some way to get the 70,000 to him. So her first question was, well, why can't you just take the 70,000 out of his million and he can come with 930, whatever it was. And immigration, it's not immigration, I'll just keep saying immigration. Immigration basically said, well, we can't do that because we've already filled out the form, the official government forms to say this guy is carrying in $1 million baht and it's registered in our systems now. So we can't now go back and say he's only carrying 930,000 baht because it will complicate things and questions will be asked, and we just don't do it. We've registered him, he's got $1 million, he needs to find that 70,000 one way or the other. So what happens? This girl goes around the town to all her relatives, her uncles, her aunties, her cousin, whoever she can, explains this. Now, they knew he was coming, okay? Thai families, they're very open, share and everything, no secrets. They knew he was coming. They knew he'd been communicating for about 6 months, 7 months. They knew his name. So it wasn't something that, oh, you're dating, nothing like that. So basically what happened was she went around kind of begging off all her relatives and said, look, you know, as soon as the guy gets here to Udon Thani, I'll get the 70,000. I'll be straight round yours and I'll give you your 10,000 back and you your 10,000 back and so on, right? Of course, but it was a scam. So what happened is she managed to get the 70,000, phoned up a number that had been given to her, and she was told to send the money somehow. I don't know if it was crypto or pay. I don't know what it was. But anyway, she sent this 70,000, put this other guy back on the line who was supposedly the boyfriend. And he was like, yeah, thank you so much. That's it. They've let me out of immigration. I'm catching the flight at 1. I'm landing at 2:30. I'll see you at the airport, okay? This poor girl, she's standing at the airport at 2:30, her and 2 others, maybe 3 others, okay? All lost 70,000. Now, it's not about the money in Thailand. You know, she's going to lose massive, massive face, okay? She's borrowed money off all her relatives saying, this guy's coming in and I'll give you the money back tomorrow. And he's not coming in. So what happens? She goes to the airport. Nobody turns up. This guy's 70,000 richer, or times 3, times 4. And this is a sort of thing that goes on. So Thai girls do get scammed. That's a kind of famous case, but there's a lot of cases where they go on dating sites. And just like happens to, you know, they call them catfishing sites. Just like what happens to a lot of Western guys, they get shown a picture of a beautiful woman and it's not really her. It's some guy sitting in some shack in Africa somewhere, or India or somewhere like that. And, you know, they get fed lines and, you know, it comes down to, look, you know, I need $100 for the airfare, or this has happened, I've got a problem with my bank. So Thai girls do get scammed as well. So it's not nice. It's a horrible thing to happen to anybody. It's not just about the money. It's, you know, like I say, it's a massive loss of face. Perfect. Thank you. In the US and Canada, people have cream, single cream or half with their coffee. In Thailand, you only get milk. It exits spec. You get creamer in hotel rooms. What should I ask for? It's just, yeah, it's different here, isn't it? It's like I'd never heard of iced tea before I came to Thailand many years ago, because in England we have hot tea. We don't have iced tea. That might be changing now. We've got Starbucks and what have you. And I think some people do drink iced tea. But yeah, I've always had just plain milk with coffee. And sometimes that's quite difficult to get here in Thailand, you know. But thank you for the super chat. Very nice of you. And I dare say we'll be meeting up again soon when you're back out here. And also, Robert Koch, thank you for your very generous donation there. That's great. Thank you, guys. Okay, so scamming. Where are we? I think I'm way behind in the comments here. Right. Rain in Blood 123. You know what? The Philippine bloggers get an absolute shit ton of views with videos of homeless foreigners. It's like an episode of TLC 90-Day Finance Video. Yeah, I watched a video a while ago about a guy. It was in the Philippines, actually. And you're right, because the story with this guy that I watched, I don't really watch a lot of Asian-based YouTubers anymore. I just don't have the time. And when I watch YouTube, I like to watch my own stuff, you know, aviation stuff I like. And this guy, he was living in an alleyway, okay? And he got together enough, I don't know how he ended up like this, but he got together enough money to buy a little cart. And this alleyway had quite a lot of traffic. And he was selling these little things, drinks and kind of pastry things. And he was getting by, he was doing okay. And then one night in the middle of the night, 3 Filipino guys came in, kind of held him up and stole his cart and everything he owned. And this guy was living like on nothing. And one of the Filipino YouTubes, you're right, they made a video about this guy, and they did a GoFundMe page. And the last time I watched it, he'd actually, because there was several episodes, they'd actually got him a job. No money involved. It was just that he could, yes, Michael, I'm online. It was just, you know, they got him a job and they got some money for an airfare if he wanted to go back. And you're right. You don't see too many. I mean, bear with me, some silly people in at the moment. Okay, just got rid of him. I mean, the thing is, when I seen the guy on the bridge, it was hardly the kind of case like, oh, I want to interview this guy. He was just sitting there begging, you know. And I remember at the time thinking to myself, how embarrassing, you know. I've got a few ideas for interviews with people, but, you know, I don't want to, you know, whenever you've got to be careful, okay, because it's there's a lot of YouTubers here in Thailand now, and you give your ideas away and people jump on them. Chris Card, how you doing? Good to see you in. Rain in Blood, they organize GoFundMe and get a shit ton of views to boot. Yeah, I know. Michael, it's 10 p.m. on West Coast, North America, Seattle, Vancouver, LA, San Francisco. Okay, that's not too late. HK Eagle, very pleasant surprise. A very pleasant surprise to see the stream at this time on a Sunday. Been busy for one reason or another in the past 2 months, but great to catch up again. 21 degrees here in Happy Valley, HK, Hong Kong, I presume. Yeah, I kind of like these afternoon streams. I'm not going to say I'm going to do them every single Sunday because I don't want to be tied into a schedule because I'm making more videos now. Now I've got to get this B-roll, you know, for the stories. So they are quite pleasant. And they're very casual, and the windows are open. It's a lovely day down here in, you know, I'm near Nana BTS station down a very quiet soy and street, if you're unfamiliar with that term. And I'm in my bedroom right now. There you go. There's my bed. Boring chocolate-coloured bedding on there. And I'm wearing a T-shirt, so the fashion police can't grab me about my wife-beating vest like they did last week. Right, Aussie Mike. Hi, Peter. Home 3 days from Thailand. Sitting here with the Thailand blues. It's horrible. Yeah, I know. I know. It really is. I made a video about 2 years ago, and it was called The Worst Thing About Thailand. I mentioned this before, and it was like heading to the airport. You know, when you get close on the road, it's like in the car, you know, those bumps. And yeah, it's horrible, isn't it? Jerry Time, 2 guys on Batam Beach were selling bracelets last month. Okay, at least they're trying to do something. The thing is, in Patong, in Phuket at the moment, as in Pattaya and a lot of other places, there's a lot of Russians here, okay, for obvious reasons. I think at last count they said 8,000 down. I was watching Tim Newton, TNT, and he said there was something like 8,000 Russians in Phuket at the moment. And some of them are doing business. They're not permitted to do business. It's against the law. There's certain protected businesses here in Thailand, like you can't come here and be a taxi driver or an electrician or a plumber because they're protected industries, you know, that only the Thais can do. But what the Russians are doing down there is they're having a frontman, like they're like a travel agency, but they have a Thai person who says they own it, and they're just basically a front. Michael Ward, Sawadee Cup. Toby Price, my wife and myself used to be friends with some Bangkok bar girls. They would tell us about some of the requests. Very funny, but some requests were strange. I'll tell you a really funny story. Okay, so years ago, I was in Pattaya and I was looking for an apartment, and I went over to Jumped In. It was a real tall apartment block, and it was a really cocky kind of girl showing me the apartment. You know, she'd obviously had a lot of interaction with foreigners. Her English was very good. She was kind of not the quiet, polite type that you of Thai person that you get. You know, she's working in this condo, and she's working in this condo, and she's like the juristic. She's showing people the apartments, and she's working for, I don't know who's paying her, but you know, these apartments are owned by individuals. And so I went in there and I'm looking, and she's very, very cocky the way she's speaking, very outlandish, very kind of, you know, eye raising, because you think, oh, Thais don't normally talk like this. She wasn't rude. She was just kind of like, I don't know, cheeky, you could say, right? So anyway, I went to look at this apartment, and it was a 4-poster bed, and that actually put me off the apartment because it's quite a nice apartment, but it was owned by a German guy, and it was. I knew the guy who was renting it, so he'd bought one he lived in, and he was renting this one, but he didn't want to deal with me. He kind of said, "Well, you need to go through the agent. That's how he works, right?" So okay, I went to see the agent. They put me onto this woman. She showed me the apartment. Had a bloody great 4-poster bed with mirrors on the ceiling, and I looked at it and I thought, "Nah, it's not me." You know, okay, short-time hotel, but not my apartment. And anyway, I went back to the bar, and I went back to a bar that I went to regularly, and I was talking to the mama-san who ran the bar there, and I was telling her about my apartments, and I said, "Oh, you know, I can't remember his name, Gertz, whatever his name was." I said, "Oh, I went to look at his apartment he's renting out, but I didn't like it." And she's like, "Why?" I said, "It had mirrors on the ceiling and a 4-poster bed. It just wasn't me." And she's like, "Oh, many lady not like go with him." And I was like, "Really?" And I was expecting this big story, right? And I said, "Why is that then?" She said, "Oh, I'm very, very kinky, you know, lady not like to go with him." And I said, "Oh, really? What does he do?" And I'm like, "Come on, tell me." And she like had to go off and talk to somebody, and I can't wait for her to come back. And I'm like, "Okay, so what did he do to the girls? How kinky?" And I'm thinking that he must like to strap them up by their ankles and whip them or something, you know, because none of the girls want to go with him, or very few. And I'm like, "Well, come on, tell me." She says, No, him very bad man. And I said, "Well, what did he do?" And in the end, cut a long story short, it turned out he used to like girls to put on a pair of stockings and high heels. And that was it, basically. And I said to her, I said, "Oh, is that, yeah, right. Yeah, really kinky." And I'm like, feeling a bit guilty, you know what I mean? Um, yeah. But you're right. Put that up again there, Toby. There's a lot of funny requests. Another funny request was there was a guy. He had a real ego, and I was in. It's called Billboard now. It used to be called the Carousel on the 3rd floor, and they used to do a strip show on the stage. So you know they have the dance, and dancing stops, and funky music comes on. Lights are dimmed a little bit. 2 girls come up and they do a strip, and then they do a bit more than that. I can't mention it here, but you imagine it's 2 girls. You can imagine what they go on to do. Okay. And there was a guy in there, and he would insist. He'd just come in and he'd be sitting in one of those bench seats, and he'd tell the manager, he had a bit of money, you know, he's a right big-headed git. And he'd tell the manager, and he'd say, "Oh, I want them to do that in front of me, right here in front of my chair." And they never did, but he'd insist on it. And he was like, "Do you know how much money I spend in here? Is it too much to ask?" And yeah, some really weird people you get out here in Thailand. Daniel Charles, your videos would be so much more impressive if the background videos were of the venues, locations of the stories lift your game. Impossible, absolutely impossible, because 1, they're not my stories. 2, they're not, I don't know where a lot of stories took place. They would just say it was in Isan, or they'll say it was in Pattaya. Okay, so what do? Just go to Pattaya and stand on the beach and tell the story. And thirdly, a lot of the stories take place in venues, and you should know by now that you can't go into a venue and make a video because of the background music. Because as soon as YouTube algorithm or their software pick up that background music, you get demonetized at the very least. At the very most, you could get penalized. You could get a strike for copyrights, and it's absolutely impossible. So I've lifted my game, as you put it, as much as I can by putting the B-roll in there. And yeah, that's pretty much as I can do at the moment. Chio, hello, Peter. Enjoying your live stream from California. Thanks very much, Chio. Over 200 in now, 222. Not bad for a Sunday lunchtime. Scott Green, hi. Where you live in Thailand? I live in Bangkok, buddy, near the Nana BTS station on Sukhumvit. I kind of quite like it here. Some people prefer to live out. I don't know if you watched that video with Jason last week that I put out. Jason's a friend of mine who's just moved out here from London. and he basically lives with his Thai girlfriend who owns a house which is 20 miles from the Nana BTS station. I mean, it's way out there in the sticks. I went there to make a video about how he lives and where he lives and everything. And honestly, I couldn't live like that. I just love the vibrant area here. It is a bit of a Farang ghetto, you know. I mean, a lot of foreigners here, a lot of tourists come here, but I like it. I mean, it's got, it's got everything I need here. I've got a car and I can go out if I want to. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, you're just coming to the stream then, Ivor. I was speaking about that earlier. I had a few complaints last week. People were like, "Oh, how could you wear a vest on a live stream?" The fashion police, they're there with their notebooks, like taking notes. So I thought I'd wear a t-shirt this week. I might one day, for a laugh, come out in a bow tie and tuxedo. See if they complain then. Nick Real says, I've heard that scam before, Peter. My Thai friend got a call from Bangkok, supposedly about the same story. She was very upset, and thankfully she spotted the scam and didn't pay. Yeah, I mean, I'm going back a few years with that story, and luckily now everybody's getting more and more switched on to scams. I was talking to a girl the other day and her phone went, and she picked it up, answered it and hung up, and she said to me straight away, "Scammer." And I said, "What do you mean?" She just said, "Oh, it's a scammer." I just cut the line. So yeah, there's people sitting in offices, like, just ringing people all day, Thai people as well. Yeah, Chris, it was very, very cruel. What makes it worse for us? It's just the money, isn't it? But for Thais, you borrow money off your family and say, "I'll give it tomorrow," and you don't give it back, and you've been scammed. You look stupid. It is a loss of face for them. In the Western world, we just feel sorry for the person who got scammed or call them a bit silly. But here they look down on it. Okay, Passamio. I probably pronounced that wrong. Good to see you in the stream. Just noticed the notification. Good to see you live this Sunday evening. You say evening, gives a clue. Where are you? Sam Lindstrom, is it? Greetings from Finland. How you doing, Sam? You're probably an hour in front of the UK, so I guess where you are now, it's probably around 7-ish, 8-ish. Mr. Mike, very formal there, Mr. Mike. Brian Flowers' wife released from jail's ? I was asked this last week, and I don't know any more than you know. He hasn't put out any live streams recently, and I don't know. Somebody told me she was, but I think they're probably keeping a low key now. Anton, how you doing? I was just speaking about you because Rob was in the stream earlier. I don't know if he's still in his stream. He's probably working because it's kind of coming up to 7 o'clock in the morning. Rob drives a black cab, but I did mention that you'd written to me the other day saying he was going to be in Bangkok. Right, how's the weather, humidity showing here? Yeah, right at the beginning of the stream, I was talking about it because this time of the year, it's normally cool, isn't it? That's why it's high season. A lot of people coming out here, and we did get a couple of weeks where it was beautiful, beautiful weather. You'd go out there, and it was almost like the UK in the summertime. It was warm, but it wasn't humid. And right now, it's humid. It's very humid. Taking up to 3 showers a day, Juan, how you doing? Juan Avalos, is it? Hi. Scott Green, have you been to Bang Sarai? What's it like? Yeah, I did go to Bang Sarai. I passed through it. I was in Pattaya for a weekend, and I had another day, and I thought, well, should I stay in Pattaya or should I go to Bang Sarai? And I drove through Bang Sarai, and I wasn't really impressed with it. It didn't really sort of grab me. I'm not criticizing it, but it didn't do anything for me apart from the monkeys on the road. There were a lot of monkeys on the road as you go out of Bang Sarai, and yeah, it was all right. It was all right. I can't criticize it. It just didn't it just didn't sell my boat, as they say. Yeah, my day is very well, thank you, Juan. Rajuan, is it, Peter? Which is your favorite beach in Thailand? Well, it's not Pattaya, that's for sure. It's not even Jomtien. So it's really a hard one to answer because I've been to a lot of the islands down south, but not for years, and I don't know what they're like now. So if I had to answer now, I'd say my favorite beach at the moment is Koh Samet, because I was there recently a couple of times. It's a 3-hour drive to Rayong, and then I got the government boat across, 120 baht return, and I went on the far side of the island. I think it's called Keo Beach, Keo, and it's so nice. It's like the sand's white, and you go into the water and it's actually clear. It's like tap water. You can look through it quite far out. And I was there with my daughters, and we stayed in the sea for hours because it was so warm. The water was actually warm and pleasant and clean, and yeah, really, really nice. I'm sure there's nicer beaches around. I just can't remember them. Okay, good afternoon, Dixie Enormous. Franco, you need a haircut, Hopkins. No, I just had a haircut, Franco. Look how short it is on the side. Look, yeah, it's about right now. I'm losing it here, you know. Mind you, Franco, that's bloody good coming from you, isn't it, egghead? Right, the Wutong Life, open windows, no mosquitoes. I do get the odd mosquito here, but the problem is, you see, I'm up on the third floor here, and mosquitoes tend to stay on the lower, like they like to stay close to ground. I bought one of these, it looks like a tennis racket, but it's got a button, and it's like, if you see a moth or something, it will electrocute them if you catch them. But of course, you can't see mosquitoes because they're so small. But the one that I've got now, it's in a stand, and you plug it in. You can actually leave it on. So in theory, they should fly into it, but they never do. I got bitten this morning, but so far in here, I haven't been bitten. Jerry Time, Brian Flyer's wife has been released for several days already. Okay, well, that's good news. Must have been awful in there for her because she's got kids, hasn't she? I won't read that out, but I'll put it up there. A gentleman never speaks, Daniel. A gentleman never speaks. Robert Koch, do you still cycle in the park? As I'm looking forward to visiting it, as it looks lovely. As I don't do wild times. What is the park called that you did the video at? It's called Ben Shakiti Park, and it's accessible from Soy 4, Soy 10, the road that runs between Asok and Rama 4. That's the main entrance, actually. It's got lots of entrances. It's a funny name, Ben Shakiti Park. But yeah, I do. I went cycling with Edward 2 days ago, and why I like it there, because they've got a dedicated cycle track, but they've also got a walking track, and they don't most people don't walk on the cycle track, and it's a good track. You know, it's in a nice urban. It's kind of almost like an urban jungle in the city. You know. And it's nice, you know, and I don't go mad. I don't like get it into sixth gear and hammer it. You know, I just cycle very, very leisurely, and I'll go around 2 or 3 times, and I like to sit down and start sweating and answer a few comments and stuff. But yeah, I don't go as often as I'd like to because of commitments to YouTube. I tend to swim every day because that's very easy to get upstairs. But yeah, I do take the bike out now and again. Scouse Andy, hi Peter, I know I'm awake early, so good morning. How you doing, Scouse Andy? The Wutong Life, I never rent from foreigners in Thailand, only Thais. Foreign owners always charge more. Yeah, I was having a chat with somebody upstairs yesterday when swimming about where I live. They used to have a couple of Airbnbs here, and he said it was awful. It changed the whole dynamics of the building, you know, because this is a quiet building. It's an older building. The walls are thick. You don't hear other people. And Airbnbs are actually, as far as I know, they're illegal in Thailand now. You're not allowed to have an Airbnb because they're a nuisance for residents. Okay, if you're in a block of apartments, they become a nuisance. And a good example is if I'm watching a movie at 11 o'clock at night, and it's a war film, and they're talking, and the volume has to go a little bit higher for me to hear it. And then suddenly it switches to a battlefield scene where they're firing machine guns, and it goes really loud. Because I'm aware of my neighbors, I'll drop the volume a bit. I'll have the volume control in my hand. I'll drop the volume while that scene's on, and as soon as it goes off and they start talking, I'll raise the volume again. But of course, if you're an Airbnb guest, as it were, you don't care about that. And he was luckily they don't have them here now. But he was telling me a few stories, and he said, you know, the pool on the roof, it's really quiet. Hardly anybody uses it, but it's a massive, real long pool. I think it's like 75 yards or something, 75 feet, and it's real nice. It's blue. It's perfect, you know. And he said, you know, when it was an Airbnb, you get a gang of half a dozen guys who were young, you know, they were like 22 to 25, and they'd take a case of beer upstairs, and they'd be, you know, yelling and screaming and jumping in the pool, and just making it rowdy, like a hotel pool, really. And he said there was another time there was a German family up there, and one of the kids was just throwing pebbles. They got a nice pebble surround, you know. One of the kids was just throwing pebbles in the pool, you know, big pebbles like that. And so yeah, it's not good to live in a block that's got Airbnb. And you're right. The reason I told you that story is because the person who arranged it, it was a foreign man. I don't know where he's from, American, English, something like that, and his Thai wife, and they'd made a business by just going around blocks of flats, knocking on doors, finding foreign owners, someone like myself, and saying, look, you know, because there's guys who have got own apartments here and they're only here for 6 months a year or 3 months a year, but they've got enough money to be able to buy an apartment outright, and it's a second home basically. And their business model was that they go to these people and say, well, look, while you're not here, we can rent this out for you and get real good money. And that was their business model. But of course, it wasn't very nice for the people living in the apartments. Thank you, Daniel. Herbert, what's your favourite spot for a Sunday roast in Bangkok? Simon's, because it doesn't cost me anything. No, it's not because it doesn't cost me anything. I always take him a few loaves of fresh bread because where he lives, it's quite difficult to get fresh bread, and you can get it everywhere around here. One of the other reasons I like living here, you can get everything. You know, I used to go to the Red Lion on Soy 13. I used to like to have a Sunday roast there, but I've kind of gone off it a bit. I won't really say why here, but it's not my favourite spot at the moment. I've started to go to the Sportsman on Soy 13. That's not bad. They do a fairly decent Sunday lunch. But that's one of the benefits of Pattaya, isn't it? You go to Pattaya, every single place does a decent Sunday roast. And it's cheap as well. You know, I mean, you'll pay here for a Sunday roast, you're looking at about 300 baht. And it's maybe not on a par as it is in some of the places in Pattaya. Pattaya is a great place for eating. Robert Koch, Peter, you stick to what you're doing. I know you won't take stupid risks. I need your streams. Thanks, Robert. I do get people writing and say things like, oh, you know, you're too careful. YouTube aren't that strict. I've seen this guy film embargoes. I've seen that guy talk about this, and I've heard another guy talking about that. And, you know, my response to that is, fine. If they want to take a risk, they can do it. But, you know, I've been doing this for nearly 5 years now. I put a lot of work into it. I earn money on it now. And, you know, I just don't want to risk it, because what would I do in Thailand if I didn't have a YouTube channel? I'd probably end up in a bar getting pissed every morning. You know, so that's up to them. If they want to go around film bargoes and play copyright music and hope for the best, that's fine. But I won't do it. And as much criticism as I get, I'll never change. You know, that's just how I am. Have you seen any snakes? Yeah, I've seen snakes. You don't tend to see them in central Bangkok, but they are about. There are a lot of snakes in Thailand, a lot. And they tend to... you can see videos like people will go open their bonnet of the car to do something with the engine, and there's a snake wrapped around the engine because it was warm. Or you know, in a garage somewhere, they've pulled out a container and there's a big bloody snake wrapped itself up in the corner. I remember years ago I was growing strawberries in England. I used to be quite a keen gardener because there's not a lot to do in the UK, is there? And I used to love it. In the UK, it doesn't get dark until about 10 o'clock at night in the summer, and it's very pleasant in the garden. You don't want to sit in watching TV when it's nice weather, do you? So I used to grow some vegetables and stuff. It wasn't cheaper, just for fun and self-satisfaction. And one year I started growing a few strawberries, and I used to come out, and the strawberries looked like birds had been at them. You know, they had like a few of them were kind of like destroyed. Half of them was gone. Something had obviously ate them. So I thought, well, what I'll do, the birds are getting them. I've got some plastic netting, very fine netting, and I pegged this netting on the strawberries so birds couldn't get into the strawberries, basically. And I came out, and there was a snake wrapped up in this net. It had gone under somehow, and it couldn't get out. And it was only probably, I don't know, about 12 inches, 14 inches long, like that. And it had white diamonds on its back. And we only have two kinds of snakes in the UK. One's a grass snake, which is harmless, and this one that I got. And yeah, a bit scary. You know, you come out and you see a snake, even though it was small. I remember years ago, I was living in Soy 38, right at the end of the Soy. And in those days, they decided to do a bit of construction on the left-hand side. About halfway down Soy 38, there used to be a lot of food carts. So 7-Eleven, a lot of food carts. It was a very, very long Soy. And I was living right at the end on the left. So about halfway down, they destroyed probably 6 houses. And they were going to do something. Obviously, they run out of money, and it all become vegetation. It hadn't been touched for a couple of years, and vegetation grows very quickly here in Thailand. And it was not that bright around that area. So when you walk down the street, and I'd actually walked up, I fancied a walk. So I'd walked up from my place all the way up to the top of the Soy, which is quite a long Soy, to buy some cigarettes. I used to smoke at the time, gave up years ago. I went to the 7-Eleven, bought some cigarettes. There was nothing untoward as I walked up there. And on the way back, I was walking along the Soy towards my condo, my apartment, and I could see something across the road, and it was huge. And I thought it was a piece of rope, and I thought that's obviously dropped off a lorry or something, because it wasn't there when I came up, and it was where all this vegetation was, right? And I really thought it was a piece of thick rope. And as I got closer, I could see it was a snake, right? And I'm not exaggerating. It must have been, you know how wide a street is in Thailand? I don't mean the main road like Sukhumvit, like a soy. Not the pavements, but the road. It took up, I'd say 75% of the road, and its head was like bigger than my fist. I mean, it was massive, okay? It looked like one of those things that wrap around dogs and suffocate them. And I just took a wide berth and I went round it and I carried on walking and nothing happened. But I look back and I think to myself, imagine if it had kind of, I was probably a yard away from it, a meter. Imagine if it had jumped up and bit me and put me out of action and wrapped itself around me. I don't know. Maybe I've watched too many movies, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of snakes here. Broadcast Dave, just wear the bow tie, no shirt. That'd be funny, wouldn't it? Tom Curley, greetings from Connecticut, USA. Looking forward to being in Thailand again soon. A lot of people coming out here at the moment. There's a lot of Americans moved out here full time. I've met a few of them, and I'm like, why have you moved out here full time? And they're just like, America sucks now, it's terrible. And yeah, I mean, people move out here all the time, but the visa agent I talk about sometimes, he also told me, and some other people told me. By the way, quick plug here. People sort of ask me about the visa agent. If you want a Thai driving license or you want your visa, your long-term visa stuff, I now use Mark from, oh God, I forgot the name of his company. He's going to kill me. I've got it here. Hang on. One Stop Visa. That's it. I remembered before I looked here. So I use Mark. He's an English guy married to a Thai woman. His Thai wife does all the running about. Fabulous service. He's in Soy 6, One Stop Visa. You know, the naughtiest soy in the whole of Pattaya. He's got an office there. I've been into his office. Great service. Very polite guy. Treats everybody with respect when they come in. And he sorted me out for my second year's visa. I don't use a visa agent. I'm not going to name her, but I don't use her anymore. I wasn't very happy the last time, and I highly recommend Mark on Soy 6 if you want a driving license or a long-term visa, or you just need residence certificates, anything like that. Mark speaks your language. He's very good at what he does. His wife's very charming, and I can't recommend him highly enough. I mentioned it before. Right, Sam, 8:48 a.m., 10 centigrade. Okay. Nick J, how you going, Peter? Didn't expect you going live this early. It's a sporadic thing, Nick. I did it like 2 Sundays ago. The live streams go out every other week now because I used to do them every week and they were getting boring for everybody. I think they were anyway. And I decided to do every other week, not because I'm becoming lazy. I'm putting out more videos now. But I was sitting here 2 weeks ago and I thought, I'll do a live stream just off the cuff. And it went very well. And like now there's nearly 250 people in. It won't be as long today because I'm going over to Simon's to get a bit of lunch later on. But yeah, I really enjoy it. It's very casual, windows open, fans on, no aircon, got my t-shirt on, run out of coffee once again. But yeah, nice. I'll have a drink of water. I'm just going to grab I've got a bit of a headache actually I think I drank too much last night. I'm just going to grab a headache tablet. I think I've got one in my trousers here. I bet I haven't now. I don't want to get up. Let's have a look. What's here? I carry everything in my shorts, and I mean everything. Toothpicks, low calorie. Like this is a sugar supplement. Instead of sugar, because some of the places you go in here they don't have them. I carry toothpicks. Restaurants, restaurants, unbelievable. Some of them they don't have toothpicks. You run a restaurant. That's one of the basics, isn't it? And headache tablets. I've got a stonking headache. I don't know why. I don't think it's a drink. I'm going to take 2. There was shorts there. I wore long trousers the other day. I went to a friend's birthday party and I thought I can't really turn up in shorts. We went to a nice restaurant and then ended up going to the Hyatt. What was really funny, we went to a nice Thai restaurant. The bill for 2 of us with 2 beers and a whole fish and a chicken dish and all the rest of it was 1,600 baht. We went to the rooftop bar at the Hyatt Regency over there. 3 cocktails with all the service charges and all the rest of it. Just under 2,000 baht. Couldn't believe it. More than the meal. Right. Okay. Right, what we're going to talk about now. I've jotted a few notes here. Yeah, you know, I told you that story earlier about the guy who had that little bit of a kink where he enjoyed his girlfriend partaking with friends of his. Okay, there's another story I know. I just noted this down below that story because I thought it was the opposite. So, if you've come in late, I was telling a story about a guy. He got his kicks from. He dated a go-go dancer, and what he liked, I don't know why, it was a strange thing, but what he liked was seeing other guys go with his girlfriend. Okay, that was what he enjoyed, and he encouraged his friends to go with her when they came around to see him. You know, good friend, right? But there was another guy I knew years ago. He was potless, so he was what we call in England a white van man. So he was a self-employed guy who drove a white van, and he'd deliver parcels and stuff like that. And he came out here for a holiday, met this girl, fell in love with her, and she was from a bar. And he ended up moving out here, but he was on a very minimal budget, and he wanted her to stop work. And they had this chat, and he was jealous. And he said, "Look, you know, I love you. I can't stand if you're going to go with other guys. I can't stand it." And but he was in love. He couldn't let her go. She basically said the same as they all say. She said, "Well, I'll stop, but I can't stop sending money to my family. You'll need to help me." Of course, he couldn't. So he had this girlfriend that used to do the same as the other guy, but unfortunately, this guy couldn't. He didn't like it. He hated it, but he couldn't do nothing about it. Simon Harper, hi, good morning. I'm in North Yorkshire. Have been here for Christmas and New Year. Fly back home to Chiang Rai tomorrow. Can't wait. Okay, good stuff. Patty is good at Christmas. If you're on your own, you're coming out here for Christmas. Patty is very, very good. They lay it on thick down there. Any excuse for a party. Okay. Thank you for the information. Aussie Mike. I averaged 9,000 baht over 20 days. That was nighttime activities, but has the prices gone mad? I don't know what when you say nighttime activities, and maybe you don't drink. I don't know. Maybe I don't know what is involved in your nighttime activities, but 9,000 baht over 20 days, I think it's not doable if you're paying bar fines at 500 baht a pop, and that's the lower end, and plus you're entertaining the ladies at 2,000 baht a pop, again at the lower end, and you're drinking. There's no way you could do 20 days on 9,000 baht. That's very small. Aussie Mike, Dix. Okay, the Wutong Life. Did you hear about the Iraq man that was caught in Phuket on a 15-year overstay? He's in jail now, but no one knows what will happen to him. I did hear something. I didn't know it was 15 years, but that's not the record. There was a German guy up in Isan. No, that is the record, actually. There was a German guy in Isan. He'd overstayed his visa by 14 years. So he came here, met this Thai girl. He had a little bit of a pension. He wasn't intended to stay here, but she fell in love with him as well as him in love with her. And he was like, well, I don't have a lot of money each month. And she's like, well, come and live in my village with me and my whoever in the Thai house, no rent, nothing. And he did. And they lived simply. She'd go to the market, buy vegetables and meat and cook. And he'd hang out, do nothing really. And he didn't see the point in getting another visa. He just thought, well, I'm up in Isan. Nobody will ever find out. And yeah, that's what happened. So yeah, it does happen. People make that decision. Oh, okay, Mike, that's more like it. 9,000 a day. I thought you meant 9,000 baht lasted you 20 days. If you spent 9,000 a day, you're probably taking 2 at a time, I would imagine. That's a big budget. George, how are you? I'm about to go eat duck. Are you in Thailand now? You're here? Scott Green, do you know, what's that say there? Do you know Brain Jack own TV show now lives in Patio Judo Champ? Not sure. Don't know him. Okay. Is it Ethereal Dreams? Ethereal Dreams. Quoted approximately 1,800 return London to Phuket, Singapore Airlines early February. What do you reckon? That seems quite expensive because my daughter sent me a quote yesterday. Let me just see what it is. I've got it here. Because they're coming over and they're going to go to Phuket, but they have to stop over in Bangkok. Yeah, it's here. So she's put, this is, it goes London Heathrow. No, it's not direct. It goes London Heathrow. Yeah, it does. London Heathrow, 10 o'clock, lands in Phuket at 1940 the following day, and then return. So she's got two prices. She's got one, I can't see who that's on. I think it's Eva Air at £936. And she's got Thai Airways going at 10 to 12 lunchtime, getting into Bangkok 09:10 the following day and return. So it's one stop Bangkok, then direct to Phuket. And she's got quoted £853 return, 1,706 for two people total. So your 1.8 does seem a little bit over the top, maybe worth searching a little bit more. Yeah, exactly, Chris. Expensive. So basically, my two daughters can book a ticket today to go from London to Phuket, return for a total of less than what you're quoting here. Very expensive. Thank you, Frank. Appreciate that. Toby Price, you can book an Airbnb, but must be for a minimum of 30 days. Um, these rules are regularly broken, though. This is Thailand. Yeah, okay. So I don't know exactly. Somebody told me it was illegal to do Airbnb, but Edward, the guy I made the video with, I made a couple of videos with him recently, the American guy who's moved out here. When he first came out here, he moved into an Airbnb quite close to here. And he told me over lunch, he said, wow, he said, the owner must be so paranoid. He kept saying to me, don't tell anybody it's an Airbnb, you know, just tell them it's you're staying with a friend and all this. So he was kind of shit scared that people would find out he was renting out as an Airbnb. So, yeah. I mean, you can understand it, can't you? If you're an apartment owner or you live in an apartment block, you don't want somebody across the road, across the road in an apartment there, lots of different people. And the biggest giveaway is when you get to your apartment, there's people waiting downstairs with suitcases. You know, they're waiting for the owner to let them in, aren't they? Because they don't care about noise, do they? As far as they're concerned, they're here for 2 weeks. They can have loud music. They can stay up all night. Once they go, the problem's not theirs. But if you live here or you live in an apartment block where they've got an Airbnb, it's not very nice for the people who live there permanently. Yeah, lots of people commenting on that ticket for the airfare saying it's way too much. Wilbur Wilson, watched your health insurance vlog. I totally agree. I wouldn't. I think it meant you wouldn't trust these companies with my life. Cheers. That was the video I did on health insurance where I wasn't turned down, but they gave me so many stipulations that they wouldn't cover. If you remember, I'd gone for a full checkup in Pattaya. The Bangkok hospital was offering a deal, and they checked my heart, liver, kidneys, blood. Everything was normal. But at the time, my triglycerides were quite high, and also something else, but it was small. Oh, and I told them I'd had gout, but I hadn't had it for 10 years, and I had a couple of issues that I used to have and I don't have, and I was close to being diabetic too, and I wasn't at the time because I'd lost weight. And the insurance company just come back and said, right, we'll insure you. We're happy to insure you, but we're not going to insure you for gout, anything to do with the heart, liver, this, and the list was endless. And I wrote to the agent, the Australian guy, and I said, what are they insuring? My bloody shoes and socks, because this is just worthless for me. The whole point of an insurance company is, my biggest fear is having a stroke or a heart attack, which is why I'm trying to stay healthy now. And they weren't willing to insure it. So at the time in that video, I said I put 300,000 away, but I found out later on that isn't nowhere near enough. So I put 1 million baht away. And if I have a serious health issue, hopefully that will get me out the shit, and I can... I might have to go back and use the NHS if it's a long-term thing. But yeah, I self-insure. It's called self-insuring. All right. Mark Roberts or Robert. Oh, Shears in Sukhumvit Soy 33 has a great Sunday lunch. Yeah, up by Villa there's a few places. You've got the Robin Hood. You got the is it the Bull's Head? There's an English pub up there. But those sort of places, yeah, they do good Sunday lunches. Oh, Shears, that's on the same run of those restaurants, isn't it? But they're not cheap. They're anywhere 350 baht. Any other recommendations for Phuket flights? No, just you do what everybody else does. You just go on a booking. You can either go straight to the airlines, or you can just check prices on the... it's worth being flexible if you can. Normally on these sites, if you say I want to go on the 2nd, come back on the 18th, they'll say, are you flexible on these dates? Couple of days before, couple of days after. And if you travel at funny sort of times, normally you can get the price down. Yeah. Blackwater Ted, who's your favorite author? I love the writings of Drew B. Droopy Balls, very, very droll. Yeah, I prefer this author myself. This guy, do you know him? He wrote a good book. There you go. Yeah, that's quite clever. It took me a minute to spot it. Okay, let me just do a bit of self-promotion here. Okay, right. Wes, how you doing? Haven't heard from you for a while. A goal to have some good deals on accommodation if you book in advance. I got money back off Agoda. I couldn't believe it, because I always use Agoda because they're the main booking site here in Thailand. If you go to any hotels, the new they use Agoda, bookings.com. There's lots and lots of them, but the main one that's used in Thailand, as far as I can tell, is Agoda. I do a lot of weekend trips to Pattaya, Hua Hin, that sort of thing, and I always use Agoda, and I pay through PayPal. And they sent me some money. They sent me $16, and I mean, I know it's not a lot of money, but it was for being a loyal customer, so I thought that was quite good. I don't know who he is. You put Steve Ross gives me the creeps. Don't know who he is. Goal for Dan. Hi in Tokyo for the weekend at Nairite. I've landed there at the airport, waiting to fly back to Seoul. Nice to see you online again. Thank you, Goal for Dan. Jerry Time Perbit. Let me just get rid of this. That's enough self promotion there. I've lost it. How do I get rid of it? There we are. Haven't got any currencies for you today either. Put that one up. Right. Really pushing now. Right. Michael Mackin. Does the Hyatt Regency Bar have live music, and is it a good place to stay? I don't know if it's a good place to stay, Michael, but to be honest, have you ever heard of a Hyatt Regency being a bad place to stay? That's a better question. No, it's going to be lovely, isn't it? It's a 5-star hotel, and generally the hotel standard in Thailand is actually better than in the West. You know, for instance, I work for a company called Accor. They run it's a French company, runs Sofitel, Novotel, Mercure, Ibis, Formula One, and our brand Ibis in the UK, for instance, was 1 star or 2 star. Here in Thailand, it's classed as a 3-star because the quality is much better. But in answer to your question, they did have a live like trio, but it was a kind of typical kind of lobby music. You know, I mean, you went up to the 29th floor, lovely cocktail bar. You can go and sit outside and view the whole city. Beautiful. I did a 1-minute clip. It's on the channel. You can see the view. And or you can sit inside in the air conditioning. It's all low lighting and nice lighting, and the cocktails are really perfect. Expensive, but they had a trio: 1 guy on a saxophone, a lady singer, and a guy on a keyboard. And it was, you wouldn't go there to watch it, put it that way. It was just background music. Nothing wrong with them, but it was background music. But a very, very pleasant way to spend a couple of hours. I didn't spend a couple of hours. I spent 1 hour because, like I say, for 3 cocktails, the bill was just under £2,000. Robin, how are you doing? Hi, Peter. You should try the Rang Mahal at the Holiday Inn on Soy 22. They have a mix of northern and southern Indian food a la carte. But I'm glad you told me that, because I wasn't sure if they still do it. I'm going to just write that down, because somebody told me about that place years ago. And on this trip back, I thought, I wonder if they still do it. What's it called? It's called the Rang Mahal at the Holiday Inn on Soy 22. And let me make a note. I'll go back on the comments later and see it. But yeah, thanks for the tip. I've always wanted to go there. Right, Dino J. You know I love Indian curry, right? Dino J. Next time you're in Pattaya, try out Soy 10, either Simi Spring Hotel or the Stay Hotel. Pretty good value, 40-meter rooms. Yeah, they're quite big rooms. At the moment, I'm kind of staying at the. I used to stay at the Flipper House, which is on Soy 7, and I got cheesed off with something in there. And then I moved over to Blackwoods, which is a great hotel, 1,800 baht a room in low season, but fantastic big rooms, fairly new, big rooms, great, double glazing. You don't hear anything coming from Nick Dean's bar. You know how loud he plays his music. And but it's quite expensive. The last few times I've gone down there, I've stayed in the Flipper Lodge on Soy 8. And I've taken the upgraded room, the 1,500 baht rooms, because regular rooms are 1,000 baht. Upgraded is 1,500, but the upgraded rooms, they face the sea. So although you've got some bars underneath, you don't really hear them if you're on the high floor. I think they only go up about 8 floors, but if you can get on the top floor, looking over the sea, 1,500 baht's a good deal. But I will bear them in mind. Soy 10, okay. Jerry Time, it's Choo Choo Andrew. It comes up on Google Maps. Okay. Right, Michael Macking, see a Google Flights, Skyscanner, then book the actual airline with the best price. Okay, Toby Price, there are a lot of reasonably priced hotels in Thailand. I only use the room for sleeping, no mongering anymore. Married, I know a lot of guys who are married who still monger. Yeah, you got to have a nice hotel room though, haven't you? I tend to. I stay in budget hotels, but I tend to get the upgraded rooms because I find they're on a par with better hotels. So like I just said, I'll stay in the Flipper. I always get confused, Flipper House and Flipper Lodge. Flipper Lodge is in Soy 8. So that's a kind of big budget hotel, 980 baht a night, 1,000 baht a night out of high season. But for an extra 500 baht, you get the upgraded room that has a sofa in the room. It normally has a better view. If they renovate any rooms, it's normally the ones they've upgraded. And that's the deal I always go for. Daz, hi. If you had a heart attack or something serious and you do have holiday insurance, do you have to pay first and claim it back on your insurance afterwards? And do you get a public hospital? No, it's really good here in Thailand. So I don't know about the insurance. If you book it in, say, England, you probably would have to claim it back. But it's really good here because unlike in the West, the insurance company and the hospitals, they work together. So if you have a serious illness and you say you had a motorcycle accident, okay, you're unconscious and you go to the hospital, they take you to the nearest hospital first of all, okay, and then they'll check your wallet. You'll get a plastic card like a credit card, and most of the companies here in Thailand they know and they work with them. So they'll take this card, they'll ring up the insurance company and they'll say, "Yep, this guy's insured with us. Go ahead." And what happens is the hospital claims from the insurance company. They don't claim. It's not like you have to get your wallet out, pay, then go beg your insurance company to recompense you. It doesn't work like that. The insurance company and the hospitals work together. In answer to your second part of the question, public hospital, no. It depends on your daily budget. It won't be a public hospital. It will be a private hospital. Hang on. It will be a private hospital, but how they do it here is on a daily budget. So when you take out your insurance, it's all down to cost, what you're willing to pay, but they'll give you a daily budget. So they'll say, well, okay, 10,000 baht a day for cover your room in the hospital, 5,000 baht a day, 15,000 baht a day. And then, everything's paid for. You've got to pay for x-rays, medicine, doctor's consultations, the room. So you can choose a daily limit and they'll tell you which hospitals you'll get the best deals from. When you deal with the insurance companies here, if you're coming out to live here, you do your research, you go to the insurance companies, the better ones, and they'll say to you, right, the one we recommend is this one because you get a lot more for your daily rate. Your money will go further. That's how it kind of works. Okay, Perbit going to Manila. Ben, well, to find the best flight deals. Yes, Ben? AL unedited. I watch too much YouTube. Hi, Peter. Good afternoon, you, and greetings from a 13 centigrade small town, Alberta. Yeah, okay. I watch YouTube all the time. I just find it's got a really good selection. My concentration level's kind of gone a lot now. I find it very hard to get into a movie unless it's a really good movie, something I really want to watch. I find myself just drifting off. I'll start watching a movie thinking this don't look too bad. And I just find myself wandering and thinking about things and I lose the plot. So I think YouTube's great, actually. You can watch short clips. I started watching hardcore porn. It's quite old now. I don't mean as in porn. It's spelt Pawn, not Porn. It's about a big pawn shop in Chicago. Is it Chicago? You must have seen it before, and it's just about the things that go in there, the battles they have with customers and stuff. That's quite old now, but I started watching it again. It's quite good. I like anything like that. What was the other one? Porn Stars, was it? The one in Vegas. That's gone now as well. Just really quick, a few people asked me about my Thailand bound hats. Okay, what I'm going to be selling them or not. So I've got these new hats made, right? So I'm just going to repeat what I said last week because I don't intend to sell them because it's just a logistics and people saying they don't turn up and stuff like that. I've got it so I can wear videos. But what I want to do, if I can get, because they cost me 500 baht with the embroidery, which is very good. The embroidery is very good. And it's not overly expensive, but I want to try and see if I can get a much cheaper supplier if I kind of order maybe 100 or 200 at a time, because what I'd like to do, I'd like to actually give them away. So when people come to Bangkok and they meet me, sometimes people meet me for lunch or whatever, I'd like to be able to give them a hat, or members, if people join as a member, then maybe I can't send it to you, but maybe when you come here, I can arrange to meet you and give you the hat. I tried selling merchandise, T-shirts and hats and stuff years ago with another company. And it was very poor, actually. So I don't really want to. And the other thing is people kind of look at you as like you're only doing YouTube because you're only interested in money. And I don't want to be known as a person who's just only looking for money. So as far as the hats go, they're quite nice hats. But like I say, I don't want to. I don't want to sell them. I'll give them to people, you know, if I meet them. I only got 3. I gave one to Bob. I gave one for myself, and Edward had one, but he paid for his own one, 500 baht. Very nice of him. Perbert, okay, you're talking to somebody else. Jerry, Tom, and Perbert having a conversation here. Steve P, I do a lot of driving and listen to YouTube often, not watch, but listen. There's quite a lot of people who do that with the stories. They write to me and tell me. Some guys are, you know, they go out religiously, the stories on a Saturday morning. And guys have told me that they walk their dog, or they tinker with their cars, or they do a bit of housework. And what they'll do, they'll have it on with some headphones, and they just do what they've got to do. And it's a nice 30-minute upload. So yeah, that's, you know, I'll listen to music sometimes. You know, I've got the YouTube. I pay for YouTube Premium, and you get the music channel as well. And you know, I go, obviously because of my age, I'm playing like 80s music and early 90s music. You know, I have like Tainted Love in the back. I'm frying some eggs and Tainted Love's in the background, or Duran Duran, you know, Rio, something like that, you know, real classics. Huggy Bear. Hi, Peter. Did you hear about the condo scam in Pattaya in-house? I did. I watched the video. In-house condo agents did a runner with people's upfront yearly payments over 10 million Thai baht, 100 plus people affected. Yeah, I did. I watched his video. So she'll get caught. It's too much money for her not to get caught. So if you didn't see that video, can't remember what it's called. But basically what happened, a beautiful condo apartment in Pattaya, and this guy moved in with his girlfriend, and the agent who was representing the condo, the juristic, she was working for the owners. Okay, she spoke good English. She did all the dealings with foreigners and stuff, and she actually got people to pay up front in cash a year in advance for some people, and then she did a runner with all the money, a lot of money. But she'll get caught. She'll definitely get caught. But you know, like he said in the video, you know, even you're a foreigner, you are protected. You have got some people think, you know, you come here, you get scammed, you've got no comeback. You know, because we're foreigners, they're entitled to scam us and they can get away with it, and the police won't do anything. That's not true. You know, if you've got a receipt to say you've paid that money, you've got a lease agreement to say that, you know, somebody's agreed a lease with you, that you can stay there for the year, you've paid for the year, then you will have representation, and you will, you know, like they moved him into another apartment to honor the lease. He couldn't stay in that apartment, but they didn't chuck him out. They moved him into another apartment. He was happy with what they did. But yeah, you know, it's, how can you avoid that as a scam? The only thing you can do is say, I don't pay in cash. But I think, you know, she was clever. She offered some incentive to pay by cash. Maybe like, you know, you can have 12 months that pay for 11 months. We'll give you 12 months. You know, I mean, that's enticing, isn't it? And when you're dealing with somebody sitting in the front desk in the building where you're renting from, you don't expect to be ripped off. It can happen to anybody. That could happen to me. Okay. I didn't know he had a couple of sons. I knew you're talking about the guy with a ponytail. What's his name? Because it was Seth was his son. I didn't know he had other sons. If we're talking about the same hardcore, it's not the one in Vegas. It was the one in Chicago. Golden Loans, I think it was called, something like that. I knew he got one son, and he had it. So there was him, his son, and his daughter, and the daughter and the son were always fighting. And the one I watched last night was where they managed to sell the party bus that they'd had for a long time. Paul, yeah, it is an early one. Well, I've been going for an hour and a half. I don't know. As long as the comments keep coming, because I don't have a lot more to talk about, to be honest with you. I've been rambling away here, and it's hard to do for 2 hours when you're on your own. So if the comments keep coming, I'll keep going for a while longer. But yeah, it's Sundays. I'm not promising every Sunday, just when I feel like it. These are uncommitted live streams, if that makes sense. Okay, so there's so many people talking to each other now. The reason I pause when I'm looking at the comments is because I can't read them out, because it's guys talking with each other. Okay. Robert Koch, why can you not get sponsorship for the channel from a hotel or retail outlet who can fund the channel, or is that not allowed on YouTube? No, you can get sponsorship. You just have to tell YouTube. So when you put a video up, you have to click a checkbox that says this video is being sponsored, or it's had paid advertisement. And yeah, I mean, I get a lot of emails from people who say they want to be sponsor me, but most of them are scammers. And I don't know how it works because I've never taken it that far, but I guess it would be something like, okay, we're interested in your YouTube channel. We want you to advertise our product, and we'll pay you whatever they pay. And then I guess the scam part of it would be, okay, before we start, you need to pay an administration fee that doesn't go to us of $100, and then we'll pay you 5,000, I don't know, baht or something. I don't know how it works, but I know they're scams because of their email addresses. They're not very clever scammers because, you know, I've had guys write to me saying they're from Google and their email address is like Romania. You know, I forget the letters at the end, but it's something like, you know, Google -support -sales -bullshit Romania or Albania, or I'm not picking them countries, I'm just giving you an example, and they're the most of the emails I get. I mean, if somebody genuinely approached me, I would like to take up sponsorship. I mean, I did have one genuine one, but the money was so low, it just wasn't worth me doing it. Because this particular, you know, if it's just a 1-minute chat, you'll see a lot of the big YouTubers, they'll, you know, I watch a YouTube channel called Pleasant Green, and he's a guy who he looks into people scammers basically, but he doesn't do it in the same way that the other channels do. The other channels, they pretend to be an old lady and they phone up some company in India and they're like, yes, I'm willing to send that, you know, and all that's, they're entertaining. But Pleasant Green is more kind of subdued. He's just a guy. He always catches guys in Nigeria for some reason, and the way they do it is he'll say, oh, by the way, you need to protect yourself. I use Surfshark, and they'll do a little chat about Surfshark, which I don't use, by the way. And that's fair enough. But I had a dating agency contacted me, like Thai kind of dating agency. And I said, yeah, that's great. That's right up my street, because the sort of content I put out there and my view as a dating agency here in Thailand would go great. And but they wanted to pay me $100, and for that $100 they wanted me to make a video about them. Well, no way, because firstly I'd have to make the video, I'd have to edit the video, do the SEO, make the thumbnail, upload it. I mean, you're talking at least half a day, you know, a day, even maybe more. You know, it's just not worth it, you know. But if a legit company come up and said, you know, we like what you do, Pete, mention us for a minute, we'll pay you this, I'd do it. But I just haven't had anybody. I've got an affiliate with Wise. If you look in the description, I recommend Wise, but that's, I make pennies from it, literally. But the reason I recommend them is because I use Wise and I think they're a great company. They're about the only affiliate I think I've got on there. I tried to do affiliate marketing with NordVPN, who I use. They said they'd get back to me, and they never did. And that's about it. So yeah, if you're somebody out there who can, I'm not very good at sales. Okay, there's a guy here who's really good at sales, and he's got a little company. He works for 2 or 3 other people, and they sell to a package to go-go bars. Okay, well, I can't really be involved with go-go bars because I know several YouTube channels. Andrew B, I will get to your comment in a minute. I am aware of it. Thank you. I just want to finish this. I know there's several channels in Pattaya that have been demonetized by YouTube. They can never make money from YouTube. And what they do, they have to rely on kind of people sending them donations. And that's not going to be great, you know. So because what they do, they just focus on the bars. What else can you do in Pattaya, right? So they ride round and they'll go up and down the soys with a hidden camera. They'll stop and talk to bar girls, and, you know, high quality, and they're good, they're interesting, you know, but YouTube just don't want that for their advertisers. And I know at least 3 channels in Pattaya where they've demonetized them, and I don't want to go along those ways. So as I said earlier, people think I play it too safe, but I just don't want to take any risks when it comes to YouTube. Right. First of all, Andrew B, thank you very, very much for your donation there. Very kind of you. So I'll read your comment now. It says, Peter, I'm an Australian living in Dubai. I'll be making my 6th trip to the kingdom over 20 years in April. Can you or the other viewers recommend a dental clinic for root canal in Bangkok or Pattaya? Yes, absolutely. I would say, Andrew, you can go to any dental clinic. There's no quacks here, as far as I know. The level of dentistry here is second to none. Okay, I've had my teeth cleaned over here. I've had root canals done. I've done filling. When I say over here, where I went, okay, if you go to Soy 13, they've got a building called Trendy. On the 2nd or 3rd floor, there's a dentist there. I just walked in. I said, I want to have my teeth cleaned. How much? She says, well, I recommend having them. They kind of scratch them, don't they? And then she uses like a high pressure blower that's got little particles in the whole lot, 1,500 baht. So in answer to your question, Andrew, what I'd say is pretty much any dentist, especially around the Sukhumvit area, even in Pattaya as well, you're not going to get quacks. You know, it's great. People come here. I had some work done years ago and it's still good today. I'm talking 30 years ago. I went to a dentist in Pattaya 28 years ago, to be precise, had some crowns at the back and they're still holding to today. So that, you know, you're in the right place for dentistry work. They call it now, the Thai government are actually trying to promote, I forget the exact word it's called, but it's called something tourism, health tourism. That's it. Because you do get people who fly into somewhere like Phuket, they'll book into a nice hotel and they'll have boob jobs done or they'll have some surgery done. And it's still cheaper to fly here, have a week in Phuket and then go back. So, yeah, and the government are actively promoting that health tourism because it's so good. It's so good. That's the one. Oh, okay. That's a surprise. Hardcore porn in Detroit. Is Seth dead? I don't know. What did he die of? That's interesting. I'll be watching it tonight thinking you're dead. No, if that's true, what does anybody know what he died of? Yeah, absolutely right. I like your that's Brick House there in the back. I think I mentioned it last week, didn't I? Brick House, that's the guy in your picture there. He's got some great lines, Brick House. What was it? Smoking Guns, and I can't remember the name of the movie. The two movies, very, very good, with Vinnie Jones in them as well. No, thank you, Turkish. I'm sweet enough. Classic. Steve McLean. Hi, Peter. Only watch YouTube, no mainstream anymore. Enjoy your channel. Thoughts on Philippines versus Thailand? Okay, I can tell you a little bit about this because although it's been a long time since I've been to the Philippines, I've had some interesting chats. I know a couple of guys who actually live in the Philippines, but they come here on a couple of weeks vacation. And I've said to them, you know, I've said, well, you live in the Philippines, you know, why do you come here? I've heard that, you know, everybody speaks English, the girls are nice and blah, blah, blah. And what they tell me, they say, look, and if there's any Filipinos watching, I don't mean anything disrespectful, okay? I'm just comparing Thailand to the Philippines to what people tell me, okay? So the plus side is a lot of people speak English. Not everybody, a lot of people speak English. You can find pretty girls who you can communicate with, which is sometimes difficult here. But they have what they call brownouts, okay? They have power cuts where the power's off for hours. The local food, from what I gather, is not anything like Thai food. You know, you can go out to a Thai restaurant and really enjoy a lot of wonderful dishes, but apparently in the Philippines, it's not kind of Westerners' taste, if that's polite, right? Some of the infrastructure is very bad. The traffic, they don't have like the BTS and the MRT and stuff like that. And, you know, it's a friendly enough country, but people say when you compare it to Thailand, like for like, Thailand definitely has a lot more boxes ticked for people visiting here, okay? And I might be going to the Philippines soon because I've had a couple of people invite me because I wanted to go back and have another look, but I didn't want to go back as a rookie and just stay in, you know, a hotel and do all the research and not know what I'm doing. It's always better to go with somebody who knows what they're doing. I went to Makati years ago, 30 years ago. Oh, okay. All right, I didn't know that. So two different answers there. Passimo, have you figured out what your rate card would be to do those videos? I'm not sure what you mean by that, Passimo. Have you figured out what your rate card would be to do those videos? What is it? Do you mean how much would I charge to do a promo video? Something like that? Write it again a bit more. I'm not, I'm not the brightest bulb in the supermarket. Write it again so I understand it. I'm not quite sure what you mean there. We've still got 15 minutes or so if the comments continue. Paul, don't you have to demonetize a video? No, I don't. I'm not. As far as I'm aware, you don't know, Paul. Don't you have to demonetize a video you do the sponsorship deal on it as well? No, as long as, look, what you got to remember with YouTube, they're a business, okay? A lot of people, they make a lot of money. What people don't realize, you know, when you send in these super chats, okay, say you send me $10, I don't get $10. YouTube keep a third of it. So if I was sent $100, those were the days. If I was sent $100, I would get what's that? About $70. YouTube keep the $30, right? So you imagine the number of channels out there who are getting super chats. Some of them are lots and lots of money, and YouTube get a third of everything, okay? But they're a business, and what you have to remember is companies are paying YouTube as a vehicle to advertise their products. So say they're selling, I don't know, say they're selling TVs, okay? YouTube has audience worldwide of millions and millions and millions. That's a great audience if you're selling, you know, flat screen TVs, for instance, or mobile phones. So these companies go to YouTube and say, right, here's a couple of £1 million. We want this many minutes adverts. And YouTube will put, you know, those annoying adverts if you don't have a Premier membership on YouTube. Those adverts, each time an advert like that gets paid, I might make a penny. Okay, it seems like a pittance, right? But you know, when I've had how many viewings now today? I've had a lot over I think over 1 million, something like that. No, more than that. Must be 12 million viewings. Okay. And you think of all those adverts, I might get a penny or one penny halfpenny, 2 cents, 5 cents, something like that. So it adds up. And what it is with YouTube, they don't have a problem with you doing sponsorship and them showing your adverts on your videos, but they just don't want to risk offending their advertisers because they pay YouTube a lot of money. So if you're talking about bar girls and what you did in a hotel room last night with 2 of them, and you know what I'm saying, they don't want anything to do with that, really. And yeah, again, people will come back at me and say, oh, well, you say that, but I've watched this video from this guy down in Pattaya and he's always shown this stuff. Yeah, it's true. He probably is, whoever he is. There's a lot of them. But the thing is, some of them are on limited time, because what can happen is YouTube can let you get away with it for 3 months, 6 months, a year, then suddenly, bang, your channel's gone. I know a number of people have lost their channels precisely for that reason. Right, let's not talk about YouTube anymore. KV, that's a good question. That's a good question. Any dentist's recommendation for implants that have never been tried and tested? Again, KB, I would say just come here and get it done. There's no quacks here, you know. Especially if you're in a tourist area like Pattaya or Sukhumvit area or Ceylon, you know, they're top dentists, you know, and the thing is, they're not expensive as well. It's up to you, Andrew. I used to use Bangkok Smile Clinic for laser cleaning, and they were fantastic. Yeah, I can second that. They are good. I know Bangkok Smile, very, very good. The thing is here, it's not the more you pay, the better service you get. It doesn't work like that here. They're all pretty much the same service, good. You just got to look around, you know, what your budget is. D&E-san, good afternoon, Peter. See, you thought you were blocked, didn't you? Actually, I was going through the blocked viewers. I accidentally blocked somebody on the live stream 2 weeks ago, and I thought, hey, he's okay, that guy. He probably just had a bit too much to drink. I'll go and unblock him. And I did. And I was going through it, and for some reason, your name came up somewhere. It must have been on one of the older streams. I thought, I haven't seen D in the stream for a while, so good to have you in. And I remember you saying to me once that you thought you'd been blocked, and I never block. Very rarely I block anybody. I blocked one person today for being an idiot. Hobson's Choice, just on that thing of blocking again. When I used to do the nighttime streams in England, you know, during COVID and stuff, we were all in the same boat. You know, we'd be drinking like hell. I'd do streams that went on for 3 hours sometimes. You know, I was doing little clips, monkeys on roller skates, all sorts. You know, it was just crazy. And I was drinking whiskey and beer and everything. And we were all in the same boat. And a lot of other guys were. And some guys would sometimes step over the line. You know, they'd say things. You know, if it was somebody I didn't know, I would have blocked them. But because I know this guy, he's in the stream every week, and he's a nice guy. They're okay guys or girls. Maybe he's had a bit too much to drink and he's talking a little bit too graphic. And what I used to do was just put them on a timeout, so they couldn't leave any more comments on that particular stream. But in the next stream, they'd be fine to go again, because I knew they'd probably just had a bit too much to drink. And haven't we all been in the same boat, had a bit too much to drink? Okay. Paul, I saw the video the other day where one of the local YouTube guys has chosen to film various Thailand YouTube stars to gain views. Stars? Crazy that people think they can get away with that. Saw the video the other day where one of the local YouTube guys has chosen to film various Thailand YouTube stars. Well, I didn't know there were any YouTube stars, but what do you mean? One guy's got a YouTube channel, is going filming other guys who've got YouTube channels? That's kind of crazy, isn't it? Crazy to think people can get away with that. Do you know what? I don't mention it too often, but there's 2 or 3 channels that have popped up in the last one very, very recently, and it's getting a lot of hits for some reason. But, you know, as I've said many times, when I started telling stories, there was only Simon from Land of Smiles, no one else who did it. And he did it from memory, whereas I read out other people's stories. But now I've noticed there's a few channels where guys have just jumped on the bandwagon. And there was one guy who was stealing stories from me. I know what he did. He bought my book, and he was taking the stories and he was putting them out as his own stories. And I complained to YouTube, and he got a strike. But this is why sometimes you'll hear a story and you think, well, hang on, I've heard this story before. Unless I go and watch every single video on YouTube, there's no way I'll know if a story's been sent to somebody else, will I? Robert Koch, Peter, do you Wise is truly fantastic service. Any thoughts on travel insurance take up from the UK, or do you have a contact in Bangkok who I can liaise with? Yeah, I say go and talk to Pacific Cross. Okay, they were the company that I'd researched for 2 years, and they're very, very good. I didn't go with them because I messed myself up really, because if I'd just gone to them and taken out insurance, I probably would have been fine. But I'm a very, very honest person, and it tripped me up because I took advantage of that promotion in the Bangkok hospital, and there were a few things they found, not serious, but a few things. Pacific Cross basically said, look, we'll offer you insurance, but we're not insuring you for this. But I'd done a lot of research starting in England, and these guys from Pacific Cross had called me in the UK on WhatsApp. And as far as paying out goes, Pacific Cross are probably the best company who will pay out, but they're very, very stringent on taking you on. So in other words, you can go to 10 companies and 9 of them just say, yep, sign here, pay your money, you're now insured. Okay. Whereas Pacific Cross don't do that. What they'll do, they'll make you fill in forms, they'll ask you questions, they'll analyze it, their underwriters will analyze it, and they'll come back and they might put some things on the insurance that they won't insure you for, okay, if you've got any conditions. But if they do insure you and you're covered and you have a heart attack, for instance, they do pay out. I know that, and I've watched a lot of videos from Thai bloggers, and also I did my own research for 2 years. I spoke to them on the phone several times, and they were probably the best company that I would go to if it wasn't me, if that makes sense. But as far as I was concerned, it kind of let me down, but it was my fault because I'd gone for the test. Right. Okay, so that doesn't surprise me what's on screen there. I'm not going to read it out, but it's kind of doesn't surprise me at all. Yeah, Layer Cake, that's a real good film. That is. I've watched that a few times. If you haven't watched Layer Cake and you liked Goodfellas and Casino and those kind of gangster files films, go and look up Layer Cake. It's a few years old now, but it's good. It's good. Doug M, my first trip to Thailand was for dental work in Bangkok over 20 years ago. No problem with the bridge work. Yeah, they're great. They're great. Bricktop, that's it. He's such a character, isn't he? Bricktop, from the film, talking about feeding people to pigs and stuff like that. Okay, so we're clear now. Rick Harrison's son. Yeah, okay. Snatch, that was it. And what was the other one? Snatch was the second one, wasn't it? It was something like hang on, Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels. That was the other one. Vinnie Jones was in that one, wasn't he? Yeah, I just remembered it and somebody's put it now. And honestly, I hadn't seen that before I said it. Right, KV again. Hey, Peter, what was that restaurant in Soi 6, 8, 10, 24-hour Thai food? It was Foodland on Soi 5. If you go, a lot of places here do stay up late. Like you can go to the Al Hussein. That's the curry place I like to go to. That's open till 3 a.m. and the sellers on the street, you can get food up to 3 in the morning. But if you go to Foodland on Soi 5, which is actually a supermarket, it's called Foodland because it's a supermarket. They have a wraparound counter, and they do food 24 hours a day. And, you can get a steak there, actually, but it's a small steak. It's cheap, but they're not big portions. But you can go there and get a plate of fried rice at 5 o'clock in the morning. They do breakfast. The breakfast is very, very small, hot dog, sausage, and an egg or something like that. But yeah, they're open 24 hours, as is 7-Eleven. Something I don't eat at night anymore, but something I used to do if I went out to a bar, rather than go to somewhere like that, I'd go to 7-Eleven and I'd get one of those cheese toasties. You can get cheese and ham or cheese toasties. You just take it off the rack there, give it to them. They put it in a toaster. You get it 2 minutes later, and you've got a real nice cheese and ham toasty. I used to find them quite nice when you'd had a bit to drink. Okay, Robin. Yeah, I'm going to do another video from there. Have you been to the new M Sphere Mall, Peter? Is it worth a minute? I hear Tom Jones will be in town performing there. I did hear Tom Jones was in town. I didn't know he was going to be performing there. But yeah, it's fantastic, Robin. It's a new mall, as you know. It's opposite Soy 33. You can get to it by going to the BTS station that goes to the Emporium. I forget the name of the station. Is it Plomchit, is it? Or is that the other way? I can't remember. But if you go from Nana, for instance, you get off the station that goes... if you're not sure, just tell the ticket lady, I want to go to the Emporium, and she'll take you to that station. Well, when you come off the station, you don't even go down on the street. The walkway, you'll see a red carpet, goes from when you get off the train and put your ticket in, you come out the station, you can't miss it. There's a long red carpet, very thin red carpet, and that goes all the way into M Sphere. And it's fantastic. Yeah, it's really good. And the food courts, they've got 2 levels of food courts. And there's one, they've got a kind of buffet, and it's really unique because you can buy anything from the supermarket and have it cooked, and they only charge you 100 baht for cooking it. So you can go and buy a steak, for instance, a steak like that, a real thick steak that you'd pay a couple of thousand baht for in a restaurant. You buy it from the butchery section, and it's like 400 or 500 baht because you're buying it from a supermarket, right? And then you go to this where the buffet is. They've got fresh vegetables, potatoes. You choose what you want, and that chef gives your plate to the cooking counter, and you sit around a counter, and he'll cook that steak for you. You can go and grab beers from the supermarket. I bought Tiger beer, big one, right? 56 baht. You know, if you're in a restaurant, it's going to cost a big beer is going to cost you 180 baht, 200 baht. So it's fantastic. So you can go to this food court, fantastic supermarket selling meat, prawns, fish, everything. You pick what you want, you take it to this guy, they cook it for you, and then it's 100 baht. Well, it's a lot cheaper than going to a regular restaurant, and it is there's lots of eateries around there. So yeah, in answer to your question, that was a very long way of saying yes, Robin, definitely go and have a look. Pastor, yeah, if someone wanted promotion video, have you spent some time to figure out what you would actually charge them to do that short video? Yeah, I kind of got a ballpark. I won't say here. I've got a ballpark figure in my mind. It depends how you do it. At the very least, they'd want me to speak about their product for 1 minute, and I wouldn't take on anything that didn't go on my viewing audience. For instance, if it was NordVPN or Shark or a dating site or a travel hotel booking site, something like that, yeah, I'd advertise that. Talk for a minute. It'd be one price. It wouldn't be expensive, but if they wanted me to actually go and make a dedicated video for them, just say it was a hotel, for instance, in Patti, and they said, look, we like your channel. We've got this hotel in Patti. We want to try and encourage more people. Come and stay with us and make a video. Then that'd be a different price, wouldn't it? Because it's a dedicated video. But I wouldn't recommend it just because they pay me. If I thought it was shit, I just wouldn't make the video. Sean Jens, I keep my favorite hotel guest house in Patti a secret because they are all sold out, but I prefer the guest rooms usually above the bars over hotel rooms. A lot are usually soundproofed. Okay, well, I didn't know that because one of the comments I've always made when I've been in LK Metro or Soy Bacau, you see rooms above it's so noisy, like the Billabong bar, they have a live band every night and there's rooms above it. And you think, imagine living there, how noisy it must be. Yeah, that's a fair point. Jerry says, M-Sphere is only good if you like cars or you want to eat food. I wouldn't go there for shopping. Yeah, I mean, the shops are kind of high end, I mean, if you want to go out and buy a couple of T-shirts, or I'll tell you where I really like to go for shopping, if I want to look for like some polos or trainers or somewhere, I think MBK Centre. I don't know what, I got croaky voice now. Hang on. MBK Centre is pretty good. And I just like the MBK Centre because they've got such a variety. They do a lot of fake goods. You can get all the polo shirts, trainers, and they got a lot of food outlets as well. And they got a food court on the 6th floor. So MBK Centre, I really like. A lot of computer stuff as well. There's only 3 malls I really like in Bangkok. I don't like the high-end malls very much. M-Sphere is good. They've got cars on the top, some beautiful cars up there inside the mall. And the food is fantastic there. So, yeah, it's worth visiting for there. But my 3 favorite malls for myself are only because my lifestyle, what I like and what I don't like. I mean, if you take Icom Siam, that's a fantastic top-end mall, but I wouldn't go there shopping. It's great to go and have a look and look at the water and, eat some of the food there. Again, the food in malls is great, but I wouldn't go there shopping. The 3 malls I actually like. I like the MBK Centre just because of the variety of what you can buy there and the food. I like IT Fortune Mall on Rama 9 because that's all computer camera equipment, cables, selfie sticks. And they don't have too many food outlets. 1 or 2. They've got KFC and McDonald's, a few Thai places. But I really like it's a real man mall. You go in there and it's laptops and desktops and they've got there's a Lotus inside there and they do office equipment and it's a good mall, right? The other mall I like is Terminal 21 because I can go there on my motorbike, park it in the scooter, park it in the basement. I buy my bread from there. They've got a real nice bakery in Terminal 21 in the basement. You can see the bread in the ovens. They've got a glass window where they prepare the bread and they literally bake it fresh, put it in the oven, then they bring it out, sometimes still warm when they bring it out. So it's a great bakery. They've got a few good food outlets on the ground floor. I don't go to the food court on the 5th floor of Terminal 21 because everything's got garlic in it. And I don't like garlic. Okay, but I like the Arabic place on the ground floor of Terminal 21. So when you come in from the car park, it's kind of just there on the left, opposite the bakery. They've got a Subway there. And yeah, there's a little bit of shopping to be had there. And of course, if you go up to the 6th floor there, you've got your phone shops, True, and the other one, AIC, is it? I can't remember that. I can't remember the other one. But they're my 3. I'm not a mall person, but they're my 3 basically. Right. Social Blade thinks you had 13.8 million views. That's about right. I can tell you. Let me just, if I pull a video up, I'm interested now because Social Blade isn't very accurate when it tells you how much money you earn. Because I've gone and looked at others and then they've told me what they earn. Hang on. It will tell me in a minute. Well, it's coming up now. Oh, for some reason it's not coming up. Is it only for members? Oh, okay, it's not working. Yeah, Social Blade doesn't tend to be very accurate, but they seem to have been accurate on my viewings because the last time I looked at it had 12 million views. So 13.8 million views does seem about right. Mike Clark, hi Peter, I'm looking at booking flights for January 25th from the UK, but presently the flights are so expensive, £1,000 plus. Is that because I'm booking too early or high season? Do you know what? I read that and I didn't take it in. Let me read it again. I'm looking for booking flights for January the 25th. Yeah, it's still high season. It will drop in February. It's coming towards the end of high season because high season basically ends at the end of January. But if you try a couple of weeks later, I don't know how you fix for holiday, but you should be paying as directors. It'll be either Air or that will be either Air or Thai Airlines. You shouldn't be paying £1,000 now, about low season, maybe £700-800. Nitban is dentist code name. No, it's not. I'll put that up there. Andrew B, thanks for the advice, Peter and gents. Look, it's 2 hours now. I was gonna say like bye because it's 2 hours. I was gonna go off, but there's still lots of comments coming in. So let me just flick the switch on the kettle. I'm gonna make myself a quick coffee. I won't make the coffee now, I'll just boil it. I'll come back and there's still enough people in there. I'll keep it going for a while longer, okay? Right. All I got to do is pour the water in because it's sitting here. It's still kind of morning for me, although it's afternoon. So it's I need a coffee basically. So as long, like I said before I went off, as long as you guys are here still commenting, I'll carry on for a while. Right. You're welcome, Andrew. You're welcome. Right, Michael Francis. I saw a documentary about life in the Philippines. People searching through the garbage, collecting food, reheating it, and then selling it to locals. Awful. Do you know what? I watched a really disgusting video, right? I don't mean in that way. I mean a disgusting video about one of the practices they do in China. Actually, I've seen a couple of them. I'm not sure I want to repeat them now. I've just thought of another one. It wasn't the one I was going to tell you, but I'll just tell you this one quick. It's a restaurant. It's a delicacy, apparently. They have mice, and they cut the toenails of the mice, the claws of the mice, and they shave them while they're alive, and they swallow them live with the food. How disgusting that wasn't the story I was going to tell you. I hope you're not eating lunch now, because this one's even more disgusting. So what's a huge practice in China is scooping oil out of the drains. And I literally mean that. You can go on YouTube and see it. What these restaurants do and street sellers do, they'll lift them. I've just heard the kettle go. Let me just grab my coffee and I'll tell you the full story. I was kind of wondering if I should do that, go off and make a coffee in the middle of the stream. But I remember when I used to watch Ed Sweeney's streams in England, he used to go off and cook meals. He used to go off and put pork pies in the ovens and stuff, didn't he? So I was only gone 30 seconds. Right, where was we? About the oil. So what these restaurants and street sellers do, the lower end ones, they literally lift these manhole covers in the street, okay, with all the rubbish, or I don't know what's in them, you know, but it's a man cover, right? And they have long ladles and they scoop this oil out of the, is it a sewer? It's not a sewer, is it? It's just a manhole for rain, I suppose. But there's thick oil in there and they scoop this oil out of the drains and they reuse it. How disgusting is that? You know, really, really awful. I never want to go to China and live there and eat food from there. There's a lot of things I've seen there that really put me off. You know, they paint apples red. Honestly, the ducks, there's a certain duck they sell that if it has from here upwards, the neck, if it's blue, it's worth a lot more money. And what they do, they get these normal ducks and they spray their heads with blue paint to get more money. Bloody awful, awful practices. Robin, having trolls and haters just means you're doing something right. We love you, Peter. Thank you very much. Octopus Red waving. Okay, cheers. Scott Green, what's the best way to exchange your money? Good money rate, thank you. Super Rich isn't bad at the airport. You'll get even more at Makasan station. That's even higher. If you get to Sukhumvit, you need to change it. The place I recommend is 3/1. Don't change it at the entrance to Nana. It'll be slightly less than the one I used to go to. I have Thai bank accounts now, so I don't change money. But Soy/3/1, that's what they call Soy Arab. So if you came out of Soy 4, everybody knows where Nana is. You came out of Soy 4, there's a zebra crossing there with the police spots. You cross over, go right, and immediate left, and that's Soy Arab there, okay? And you walk about halfway in, there's a road that goes back out onto Soy 3, past that, and on the right, you'll see a small change booth there. She gives the best rates that I know of in Bangkok. A lot of people swear by a lot of people swear by Super Rich, but they're not bad, but I have found better. And if you go to somewhere like MBK Center, they have a lot in there, but you have to look around because they vary, you know. Eric Clark, enjoy these live talks. Thanks, great info. Thanks, Eric. Paul again. They've been going around filming popular girls, then claiming they didn't have a clue who it was. Oh, okay. They've been going around. Oh, I see. I know who you mean. Are you talking about a certain queen? Okay, so they're filming people like her and then making out they don't know. You know, look, what you got to remember, there's a lot of people who retire in Pattaya because for obvious reasons, it's a nice place to live. It's one of the reasons I didn't choose to live there. But it's limited on what you can film. If you're in Pattaya, what can you make videos about? You can go to the Temple of Truth, right? Or the Big Buddha, or the floating market, or you can do a cycle ride like I did along Soy Bacau and the beach road. But after you've done that, what else is there? Okay, there's girls and there's bars and there's the soys that those girls and bars on. And then for your next video, there's more bars and girls and even more bars and girls. And unfortunately, a lot of people down there, I've got a friend who owns a couple of bars down there in Pattaya, and he told me, he says, everyone and his brother is making YouTube videos down there. And I said, well, how do you know they're not just tourists? He said, well, you can tell. They're not just holding the camera. They've got the selfie stick up there and they're walking along talking. And he said, they're all doing the same thing, you know. So I'm not criticizing. I'm just saying that's the main reason why I don't live in Pattaya, because I've got a lot more content available to me living here in Bangkok. Kirk Burns, me and my brother coming to Thailand on the 23rd of February for the first time back in 11 years. That's not a bad time to come, 23rd of February. It'll be starting to heat up a little bit though, Kirk. Be aware of that. Hobson's Choice, PC gave me an exclusion because I was over 55, went for a test at hospital because at hospital got it removed. Okay. Yeah, they give me a lot of exclusions. But like I say, if you do manage to get insured by them, you know, they do pay out. Look, I mean, I used to get gout quite often. I haven't had it for 10 years, but I mentioned it on the form. I was really honest because I didn't want to be in a situation where I was really sick. And they said, well, you didn't mention this and we found out about it, so we're not insuring you. And I'd been paying for 5 years. So I told them absolutely everything. Now, if they'd have come back to me and said, okay, well, if you have a heart attack, a stroke or something like that, you're insured, but we're not going to insure you for gout, I'd have accepted it because I haven't had gout for 10 years. And if I did have a bout of gout, I've got a friend who gets gout every other week because he drinks a lot of red wine. Okay. I told him to stop, but he doesn't. You know, if they said, we'll insure you, but we're not insuring you for gout, for instance, I said, yeah, no problem. Because if I get gout, I can go to the local pharmacy and I can pick up tablets. It's not a big deal, is it? Just a quick tip. Last thing on health insurance, right? A quick tip. If you want to bring, when you're here, if you want to bring the fees down, the cost of the insurance, opt for no outpatients, okay? Because outpatients, you know, if you break your leg and you have to go and get your cast changed 6 times, what's that going to cost you? You know, you don't have to get it done at the same hospital. It's going to cost peanuts. Or if you have to go back and get pills or something, because if you have no outpatients, you cover that yourself. Your insurance policy will drop as much as 33% in some cases or 20% in other cases. So, you know, that's one recommendation I say. The other recommendation I'd say is do a very, very high, you know, you have to pay a certain amount of money. If you go in for a serious operation, you have to pay the first $500 normally, right? Opt to pay the first $2,000 because although it's a lot of money, it's doable, isn't it? If you had something serious happen to you and you had to find $2,000, that's doable. It's not doable if you had to find $200,000, right? But $2,000, hopefully you won't get ill, but if you do and you had to pay out $2,000, you can do that. Most people here can do that. But the bonus of that is if you do that, they'll drop the insurance again by another 18%, I think it is. So you take off the outpatients, you pay a very high first premium if you get sick, the first couple of $1,000s, and I actually managed to slash my insurance from 80,000 baht a year. This was top coverage, right? Really good hospital, top doctors. My quote was 80,000 baht, but without the outpatients and paying the first $2,000, I dropped it down to 40,000 a year. I halved the quote, in other words. And you know, you are taking a chance because if you get really sick and you got to pay $2,000, it hurts, doesn't it? But you know, I was going on the attitude that I'm fairly healthy and hopefully that won't happen. And if it does, I've got $2,000. Right, I'm not talking about health insurance anymore. Go and watch the video. Robert Koch, thank you, Hobson's Choice. Andrew B, that dude is so creepy. Videos of girls he accosts on the street are so cringe. They just want to run away. I know the guy you're talking about. He's got his channel, the beautiful ladies. I don't know how he manages to find them, but his channel's got a really weird name, hasn't it? It's like it's a real weird name. And the guy has an open shirt with Buddhas hanging, and he had another channel actually. I spoke to him a few times ago, but yeah, he basically goes out on the street and he interviews girls, some really beautiful girls. He's got the numbers. He's well over 100,000, I think. But it's because of the beautiful girls. But yeah, I mean, that's one side of it, I suppose. It's yeah, I do know where you're coming from because I have watched a couple of them. I don't want to slate him, but that's what he does. But I hear where you're coming from. Okay. Right. God, over 2 hours already. It was nearly 300 in, so I'll keep it going for a while. I'm going to Simon's for lunch, and it's hard for him to get bread where he lives in Bangwa. So what I normally do is I normally nip to a supermarket. I pick up a couple of nice fresh loaves, and I put them in a rucksack, and I go over on my scooter. I've got a car, but I prefer to go on the scooter because I come in and out of the traffic, and it's more fun anyway on the scooter. About half an hour. I go over the Taksim Bridge and down the highway, you know. Sean from Chonbury City. Peter, is it okay to chat about pizza here? I was in Pattaya last night and stumbled across a pizza place called Outlaw Pizza, great American style pizza and Americanized tea. Like I say, in Pattaya, most of the pizza places are good. I did a video on a pizza place that was in what we call Soy Boomerang. You got Soy 15, the one before it. There's a gentleman's club on the corner that's about a year old now. You go in there and turn right, and there's a pizza place hidden away right in the corner beside some kind of a girly bar. And the guy's Italian, and I had a pizza in there. I've been a few times. Fantastic pizza. People tell me Chicago pizza across from, I think it's called Chicago pizza, across from by the Slice opposite LK Metro. I think it's called Chicago pizza. They say that's good. I've never sort of tried it. No, I haven't. ST Ray, you said, Peter, have you heard anything about Simon lately? The last I seen him, he was doing the tests on the bus. You're talking about Simon Lander Smiles. Well, he went back to England, didn't he, with his girlfriend after COVID. And I know he was doing some work with the hospital with COVID. So was his wife. You know, clipboard, when you come in, he's signing you off. So, yeah, he probably... I know he used to be a taxi driver, so it makes sense if he's gone for a bus license. I had a mate who worked on the buses in England, a friend, and he said it was terrible. He said the bus driving was okay. He said, but the people who come on, he says, rude, really rude people, especially the youth, you know, they'd come on and give him shit all the time. He packed the job in, he just couldn't stand it. Mercy Paul, how you doing? That sounds great. Steve P, Primate video on Thai Friendly. Do a promotional video on Thai Friendly. Well, I'd only do a promotional video if I was paid. I don't think Thai Friendly is going to pay me. They've got... You know, they're probably going to approach one of the bigger channels. You know, I've got 55. I've just hit 55,000 subscribers. I'm happy with that. But as far as an advertiser goes, there's guys with hundreds and hundreds of thousands of subscribers. Like I say, if somebody approaches me and they want to do some work with me, I'm open. I'm ready. But I keep getting these scam emails. I think I just mentioned that, Brett. You said, what's your favorite outdoor indoor market in Bangkok? I'm not really a market person, but in answer to your question, I do like Big C and Lotus on Rama 4 because you can get everything. You know, they're really good supermarkets, you know, as far as food goes, household items, clothes. Well, not so much clothes. They don't fit me. The biggest size they do in Thailand is that the factories produce for. The biggest size tops you can get here is triple X. I think I'm like 4X, but there are one or two shops that have opened up that do cater to bigger guys now, and you can get bigger sizes again in MBK. Why am I pointing? It's that way. You do get bigger sizes in MBK Mall because it's mostly tourists who shop there, and I got a couple of nice polos there a couple of weeks ago. I think they cost me about 200 baht each. Designer, of course. Toby, is the food place called You Hunt We Cook? There is one in Chonburi City. I don't know what it's called. That's the one in Hemisphere, but it's bloody good value and good food. Steve McLean again. Peter, knowledge is extremely valuable to people looking to retire. You may be underestimating your value. I'd pay for sound advice, as I'm sure many would. So no need for sponsorship. I don't know if you know, Steve. I'm not selling now. I'm just telling you. I already do this, and I have quite a lot of customers. I call them customers, like guys who contact me, and I do a one-on-one service. So it's like this, but it's a private stream. And I'll send the guy a link. He clicks the link and he comes into the stream. So he's on one half of the stream. I'm on the other half. It's all encrypted and private, so nobody else can see it or watch it. It doesn't go up on YouTube. It gets deleted when we're finished talking. And they basically can book me for an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, very small fee. Look, I might as well put the advert up there again, all right? I didn't want to push it again. Oh, no, that's not it. That's the, what's that? That's last week's, there. I call it a consultation. So I've done 2 this week already. So a guy will book me for an hour, 2 hours, whatever. And they just ask me about hotels, visas, girly bars, what to do, what not to do. Just questions that a newbie coming out here would want to know. So, yeah, good point. And I do it now. So thank you. Right. And I've lost my place here. Where were we? There we are. Right. Mark Roberts. Jerry Tom, I have been in Hemisphere for the IKEA, much more convenient for me. Mega Bagner. Yeah, IKEA is okay. I like Mr. I said it wrong last week and someone corrected me. It's not called, is it called Mr. Fix It? They're great. Michael, what do you eat at the Arabic place at the mall? I don't know what it's called. I just look at the menu and I point to it, and it's what do I normally eat? It's normally it's not rice. What do I eat? They're kind of like samosas, but they've got vegetables in there, but it's an Arabic style. Oh, you really got me on the hop now. I choose different things. I just think that looks nice, and I point to the lady and say, I'll have that because I've got a big wooden card, but I don't know what they're called. I can't remember. Sorry. Right. Social Blade has such generous ad revenue numbers. I don't know where they source them from because nobody seems to come close to their numbers. I know they're really out, way out. And the other thing is they give a wide range. So they say this guy earns between $1,000 and $4,000, between $1,000 and $4,000. Well, that doesn't tell you anything, does it? Thank you, KV. Appreciate that. Scouse Sandy 71. Good to have you in the stream. Not as bad as Bob Fleming from the Fast Show. I don't know who he is. Bernie, how you doing? You're in town soon, aren't you? Just arrived at my hotel. Oh, you're here now. Just arrived at my hotel and came into the stream. 2 hours and 265 people is excellent. Thanks, Bernie. So I'm not around today, Bernie, because after this, I'm going to fly over to Simon's on my bike for lunch. I could be around tomorrow for lunch if you give me a ring in the morning. There's somebody else I got to meet, and I can't remember who it is. Well, I haven't got to. Like I say, people come out and say, I want to meet you, and I try and meet them. Right. Yeah, Bernie, give me a shout later. It's up to you. I went to the Philippines 2 years ago. Nice people, ever a lot of poverty. And yes, I didn't like the food. Not a patch on Thailand, but definitely worth ticking off the list. Yeah, that's pretty much what I was trying to say, but in a polite way. Liam Stevens. Okay. Yeah, that's what I actually meant. You said they also have gutter oil in China. That's basically what I meant. They take it from the gutter and the manhole covers. The one I've seen, they lifted up a manhole cover. Disgusting. Right, knit ban. I was joking. I got my broken tooth fixed in Bangkok for a fraction of the cost it would cost me in the US. Walk-in service done with a couple of hours, including cleaning and whitening. It's the same in the UK. You just can't get a doctor's, a dentist appointment for love nor money. And if you don't go and see them every 6 months for an inspection, it's a scam really, because it's so hard to get on a dentist or doctor's list now that if you eventually do get on a dentist list, you know, you normally don't go to a dentist unless you want teeth cleaned or some repair done. But what they're doing, the scam they've got in the UK to make more money, because they're so oversubscribed, what they do is they say you have to come in for a checkup every 6 months. And obviously that costs money. And if you, even if you're on a NHS, you get charged money. The NHS, National Health Service in the UK, is supposed to be free. But when you go to a dentist, they pay the majority of it. But there is still a small fee. It can be $20, $30. And what the scam is, basically, I think it's a scam. You've got to come back every 6 months. And if you miss an appointment or you don't go for 6 months, they cut you off the list. So now you haven't got a dentist and it's near on impossible to get on the list. Roasted garlic, what a name. Are you toying with me, sir? Toying with me? Yeah, it is disgusting. Okay, Merck, is it? The nicest, most humble people in Southeast Asia are most definitely Thai people. They are, but you get them wound up, you'll see a different side. You know, the Thais are very, they're very switched on to tourism and giving you everything you want. You know, when they want you to come here and spend your money, obviously, because it's good for the economy. But one thing they won't put up with is, you know, people coming over here and trying to rule the roost and making trouble, as it were. And I've seen I wouldn't say a lot, but quite a lot, if that makes sense. I've seen it a lot of times because I've been here a lot of years, but it doesn't happen very often. But I've seen a guy start a fight with a tuk-tuk driver, for instance, because he's a little puny guy and this guy's big from Scotland, thinking no problem. Within 10 seconds, there's 10 tuk-tuk drivers on him, you know, and all you can hear, like, he's on his way to the hospital. And it's the same in Walking Street. The number of videos you see where ladyboys are attacking one guy because he took the mickey out of one ladyboy, taunted her, and all her friends jumped in. I've even seen a picture of a guy laying in a hospital bed with a stiletto shoe stuck in his head where some ladyboy had cracked him one. Nick Ban again, please don't compare Thailand with the Philippines. They are very different in many ways. Both are good in different ways. Okay. I don't think people were comparing. They were just saying the good points and the bad points. Just say hi to a new member there. Who's that? That's Christian Elliott. Thank you, Christian. So you'll be the next member stream will be next Sunday at 10:45 p.m. Thai time. Right, Adam West, Batman. Peter, do you ever get judged by family and friends for visiting gogo bars? No, because I don't really visit them. It's just part of Thailand, isn't it? I say that was in the other night. No, because most of my friends are out here. They're not in England. I don't really have any friends in England because because I was out here for so long, I lost touch with school friends and everything. I made a few acquaintances when I went back through different businesses and stuff. But most of the friends I've got are out here and they do exactly the same. We're all in the same boat, really. You mix in the same circles, don't you? So anybody I get on with is kind of doing the same thing. But I don't frequent go-go bars very often. One, because they're just so expensive now. I've got absolutely no interest in the ladies in the go-go bars. I'm definitely not going to bar fine or sit there and buy them multiple drinks because I've got no interest in them. And it is expensive. And when you live here, unless you're very, very rich, which I'm not, I live a nice lifestyle. But if I was in and out of go-go bars every night, then I wouldn't be able to, live well. I do occasionally go. I prefer to go to Soy Cowboy than I do Nana Plaza. But saying that, I went with Bernie, funny enough. The guy I was just talking to, me and Bernie went to Spanky's about 2 weeks ago on the second floor. We went in for one beer. We ended up having about 4 or 5 beers. They do a load of shows. We had a good night. It was good fun. And but I'm not a frequent visitor of go-go bars. I prefer regular bars these days, like the Red Lion or the Huntsman or something like that. Right. Is this form about going to Thailand to meet women or ladyboys? No idea what you mean by that. Right. SDA Row. I wouldn't go to China for all the money in the world. I actually worked there for 3 years, but I was working in a 5-star hotel. And I'll just presume, because I don't want to vomit now, I'll just presume that they source their food from good sources. Al Unedited. Here's to make it even worse. Okay, good. Let's hear it. While I was in China, I saw a bunch of times moms having young under 3 kids pee in the storm drains. I've seen worse than that. I'm not going to talk about it. It's just getting really, really bad now. I mean, I'm going to go over and have a nice lunch. The thing I seen was totally disgusting and unbelievable. And I know I'm going to get people say, "Oh, do tell," but I'm not going. Honestly, guys, not because I'm being funny. I just don't want to. I don't like talking about stuff that makes me feel like vomiting. Whereas, beware, there are 2 different super rich. The green one is better than the orange one. Okay, I didn't know that. Kurt Burton. What I did notice, I noticed the super rich and orange one. I went to the airport with Marley to film everything, where to go, how to get the train in and everything. And there was a super rich and I noticed the rate. But then when we come in, we went to Makasan station and they have a super rich there. And that was actually given a better rate than the one at the airport. But that was the orange one. Kurt Boy's cheese toast is banging in Thailand. Well, I wouldn't say I was a fan of cheese on toast, but I did go out and buy myself a toaster, the toaster machines. And I actually buy the Thai sliced white bread, which is probably totally unhealthy. But yeah, I do. I had it for dinner last night. 2 of these 4 slices, cheese, onion, a little bit of pickle on the side, mustard. Brilliant. Lovely. Cooked it myself. Can't go floating market anymore. You can if you go down to the Mekong Railway down south, because I've got one down there. Did a video on it. Nobody watched it. Jockey Scott, never seen so many coffin dodgers in Pattaya at present. We used to call them that in the UK. I like Pattaya. It's okay for a visit, but I couldn't live there. And some of the people down there are kind of like no hopers. I'll just tell you a quick story before I go. This is a story I told ages and ages ago. Can you hear that? It's one of those vans that sells fruit. Sometimes they park right outside. Right, it's fading. That's good. I met a lovely guy in when I was one time I was in Pattaya by myself, and I was staying in the get it all out. I was staying in the Nature View Hotel, which is a very good hotel, budget hotel. It's opposite Soy 15 off LK Metro, and there's a hotel further down called, I think it's called Pseudo. Very cheap, but the rooms are kind of like a bit. They've got some renovated rooms. It wasn't my sort of hotel. But I was in there checking on the prices of rooms, and I said, can I go and have a look at a room? And on the way out, a guy grabbed me, not literally, but he said, oh, Peter, I watch your channel. Great stuff. And he was quite a heavy set, big guy. I'll be honest with you, he was really fat. But he was a really lovely man, nice guy. And he invited me, this was at 10:30 in the morning, and he was drinking a large Chang, and he invited me to join him. And I thought, why not? I'll have a drink with you. And he went to offer me a chance. Oh, sorry, mate, I don't drink in the day. I'll have a coffee if that's okay. And he was like, oh, just one. I was like, no, look, it'll be left if you, because he was like, oh, get him one. And I said, look, if you order it, it will just be left there and I won't have anything to drink. I would prefer a coffee if that's okay. And he was like, well, okay then. And his story was a typical story. He was there. He actually had quite a lot of money. So he said, but he was there because he'd opened a bar in East Sand for his girlfriend. They fell out. She ended up taking the bar and the house and all the rest of it. And he was down there, and he was a real nice guy. And I actually because he was such a nice guy, I actually arranged to meet him the following day. I met him 3 times. And on the 3rd day, I noticed every time I met him, he was always drinking these large Chang beers from the morning, And I said to the guy, I said, can I just ask you something personal? If I'm being nosy, just tell me to shut up or mind my own business. I won't get offended. He was like, yeah, sure, anything. I was like, how many of them do you drink a day? And he was like, I forget how many he told me, but it was a lot. And I said, do you drink every day? And he says, yeah. And I said, look, and he's really overweight, and I couldn't say anything, And I said to him, I said, are you not worried about your health? Because, I don't drink. I drink too much at night, but, you seem to be drinking day and night. No, it's not for me to tell you, but I'm just interested. Are you not worried? And he's like, yeah. He says, well, life's too short. And I'm thinking it's going to be even shorter. But he was telling me this story. He said he woke up one morning and he was completely yellow. His eyes were yellow. His skin was yellow, right? And he said he went to the doctors and he got some kind of tablets. And there was some kind of vitamin tablets, and the yellowness went away. But the doctor told him, you've got to stop drinking. This was before I met him, right? Now, obviously, he had yellow jaundice. Now, I always thought once your eyeballs went yellow and your skin went yellow, that was it. Your liver was totally shot. You're gone. You got cirrhosis. There's no return. That's what I always thought. But apparently, this guy got it, and he was okay again. And when I was talking to him, he looked normal, apart from his weight. And I sometimes wonder where he is now, because he used to write to me occasionally. I haven't heard from him for a long time. And I just wonder, and the whole point of that story is some of the people you meet in Pattaya, they seem to have given up on caring for themselves. They basically go to Pattaya and they just don't care anymore. They don't care about exercise. They don't care about how big they become. They don't care about drinking in the daytime. And they just seem to have let go. It's almost like they've landed in a magic land. I'm in Pattaya. It doesn't matter about my health. It doesn't matter how much I drink. It doesn't matter what I do. You just seem to have a lot of them in Pattaya, whereas you don't get them up here. You see people in the morning running up and down the soy, at 6 a.m. You see people on bicycles like me in the park, going swimming. They go to exercise, go to gym. Not everybody's like that. Of course, they've got gyms in Pattaya and people do go running. I've seen them up and down Jomtien, but it's just you seem to get a lot more of them in Pattaya than you do here in Bangkok. Right, Perbert says, saw something on TNT, never noticed, but is air quality that bad? I've got an app, right? Let me have a look, because I never really notice it. The windows are open now. Let me have a look on my app, what it says, what the air quality is today. There we are, Air Visual. I use an app called Air Visual. Right, so it's orange today. That means it's moderate. Can you see? 84 AQI. But it says it's going to be bad this evening, right? You see this evening? It goes red. You can't really see it clearly. But you're in the middle of a major city with all the pollution and everything. But, they get bad air in Pattaya as well, don't they? Are you taking the mickey? What's wrong with it? It cost me 100 baht. It's been through the washing machine about 2,000 times. Well, I haven't. I haven't had anybody on my back this week because I wore the wife-beating vest last week and I had everybody on my back. Right, Nitman, what's wrong with peeing in a drain storm? It's up to you. I went to hospital Budapest in 1992. Absolutely disgusting. Old drip bags lying on the corridor floors. Yuck. Alan edited, mixed with the oil that gets scooped out for cooking. Mark Robert, a bit late now for lunch at Simon's. No, when I say lunch, he cooks in the afternoon, and we normally eat about 6 p.m., which is perfect for me. What's the time now? 3:30. I'm just trying to work out how much time I need to get the bread and get over his. And I'd like to get over to his for no later than 5. I don't want to turn up just as a meal's coming out. So for me to get there for 5 means I need to leave Sukhumvit area about 4:30, which means I need to head off to get the bread about 4:15. So, yeah, we're nearly there, aren't we? Let's get through a few of these comments. It's 2.5 hours now. I didn't expect to go this long. Bronx Pizza, that's the one in Pattaya. Thank you. Hobbs's Choice, no outpatients, and you pay, yes, first 20. No outpatients, you pay first 20 to 40,000 deductible, brings premium down, topic closed. Okay. Mine came down a lot more than that. Robin, another channel has a guy who also pimps his girlfriend in tiny bikinis. Used to find him cringe, but found out he's pretty neat dude. So I feel more ashamed gawking at his girlfriend. I think I know who you mean. Yeah, she's lovely, isn't she? Is her name Sia or Sai? I'm going to go to some of the latest comments. If I miss your comments, guys, apologies, but I'm talking a lot and I'm missing a lot. So I'm going to go right down to the latest one from Vegas Scott. Can you comment on if you have back pain, if you need to bring pain pills with you? I personally don't have back pain, but you can buy just about everything over the counter here in Thailand. ST Ray, true Peter about the fella, unfortunately. Hobson's Choice, the other morning it was raining. The other morning it was reading 180. Okay, that's pretty bad. Roasted garlic, 84, damn. Wes, Robin the Chosen One, the rates fluctuate between the two. The green one is more handy when you go over because there's a branch in Central Rama 2,5 minutes from my sister-in-law's place at, where's that? Bang Kuntai, is it? Hectic Daggy, Robert. Okay, you're talking to someone else. Okay, we're nearly there, guys. I was doing flooring in Chinese restaurant here in the UK, watching them snot and spit in their cooking and laughing about it. Never eaten Chinese since. Jesus, that's put me right off. Go for Dam. I went to Damnium Floating Market and the Railway Market after watching your video with Marley. It's a good day out, isn't it? It's about 2 hours. You can cover both because the floating market's about 20 minutes from the Mekong Railway. The problem is it's just so commercialized now, isn't it? It's just full of sellers selling crap. STE Peter, don't mind people asking stupid questions. Do what you like. Okay, thank you. Chris Card says he means forum but wrote from. Okay. Sean, there is a good 80s American glam rock band playing in Pattaya tonight at Rock Factory. Tough. Wish I could go, but I work tomorrow morning. Chombury. Okay. Yeah, like the odd live band. Right. The Wu-Tang Live says, oh my God, another China hater. I don't really hate China, but, you know, they do stuff there that you don't see people doing anywhere else in the world. I've never seen another country scoop oil from a drain to reuse. I've never seen another country eat live mice, shaved mice, swallow them alive. And I've never seen another country paint a duck's neck blue to get more money for it, as in paint apples red to make them look more appetizing. Okay, it's just a fact of life. If it was Vietnam doing it, I would have said the same thing. Scouse Andy 71, Bob Fleming, comedy character from the Fast Show. He coughs a lot. You are way not as bad. Okay. Hobson's Choice, Peter, will go to the new Bakara restaurant one day. That's the Indian restaurant just over there. Yeah, it's good. The Wu-Tang Life. I won't read that out, unfortunately. Okay, right, guys, I'm going to have to call it a day. It's really gone well. It's 2.5 hours. I don't know if I'll do one on. I've got 2 live streams next Sunday. They're the scheduled ones. I'll see about the one like this the week after. I'm not sure if I'll do it. No promises, but it has been good. So thank you to the guys who gave me the super chats. Thank you to the moderators, Chris and Franco, and anybody else who was in there. Most of all, thank you to you guys. New member there. Welcome to you. See you in the member stream next week. Guys, whatever you're doing, have a great Sunday. And I'll see you next Sunday evening. Thanks, guys.